you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Filling up with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, magic. No, I'm never letting go. Now that I have it with you. When you kiss me, it's like the stars fall out the sky onto my heart to cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Filling up with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, yeah, you take me higher, baby.
Welcome to Saturday Night Bottom Aggressive News Show with Leslie S3. I am your host, Marlon, along with Anna Hart. And today's show, as you can see, we're going to continue on the saga of systemic racism practically for the rest of this weekend. This will be the last weekend of this segment, and we'll move on to a different segment starting next weekend. News for next Sunday is there may or may not be a Sunday show. This Thursday is Foxy's birthday that she wants to celebrate on Sunday at a big fancy restaurant, and the reservation's at 6. But the restaurant puts on like a show of some type, and I'm not gonna rush her birthday. And I hate to say it because it's something on my own show, but I'm not going to rush your birthday for this show. Just being totally honest. We're going to celebrate it. We're going to take time and commemorate another, as Anna say, another trip around the sun.
Are you going to ask her for 50% like the guy before?
No. As a matter of fact,
So you know how to treat someone on their birthday. Very good.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna, take her to a fancy restaurant and then order the most expensive things and then ask for 50% of the bill. Yeah.
Some people.
I decided that we're gonna take 10 minutes at the beginning of each show to just reflect and talk about it and everything else. And we got 5 minutes, right? Not really, because I took up 3 minutes. So 7 minutes to talk. So here we go. The topic. Y'all trolls had a fantastic time watching the show last week. Y'all had a ball And we was talking about it before the show. You're not, and I'll just give you the heads up on the reason why. Again, I said I'm not going to argue with you because literally, again, y'all have no new arguments. Either in what Thea said a few minutes ago, either you're using pseudoscience, you're pretending it never existed. I done had one guy who it has been proven that was wrong. No. We also remember we have the dude with the so-called civil rights movement, which so-called, so that whole moment was made up. So I have a dream was CGI. I don't know where you're going with so-called civil rights movement, but it's stuff like that just made me feel this year I'm not gonna argue with you because it's not worth my time. You're not doing anything brand new. So thank you for the comment. I would say thank you for the watch, but y'all know damn well y'all not even watching the video. You watched the title and came up with your own conclusion. But for those who did watch, thank you. Thank you for the lovely lady who did put in about 6 or 7 well thought out thoughts about the healthcare issue going on with Blacks in America. I really appreciate her. But anyway, I'll give the last 3 minutes to everybody else.
Anna, your floor is yours.
I haven't had time to really go over many of the comments beyond the few screenshots that you shared. Yeah, it's amusing on the one hand, and it's sad at the same time. Two things can exist. I just had today was a support group day, so I've been pretty deeply dived into the topic that we had, and so yeah, I haven't read many more of them.
Yeah. Don't waste
Take some time. Don't waste my time?
No.
All right.
No. You read one, you read them all. You got any thoughts, Theas?
I mean, not much. I also didn't really read too many of the comments. I commented at one time just because I would just like to draw some of the trolls out, you know. But generally, nah, I don't really ain't got much. So whoever it is, if you're watching right now, you're probably a different person this time than the last time. But the thing is, I'm not speaking for any of my panelists. I'm just speaking for me. You literally do not matter. So the reason why I don't spend time commenting to you is because you're beneath me, and I'm not going to spend the time. So if you're willing to engage in some educated thought, like you actually read and researched some things and want to work with something on a real proactive basis that has a meaningful impact, then by all means. But if you're just spouting what you feel and that's what you got, you're literally beneath me.
Right.
I'm interested to read what the lady had to say about healthcare, though. If
I'll
you
take a
said there's
look at.
a few good ones.
Yeah. I'll take a look at a screenshot
That'd be
and send it to the messenger. So without further ado, let's get this party started. Tracy said hello, so I guess she's not coming on.
Hey,
But
Tracy.
hello, Tracy. Thanks for
Thank
watching.
you.
I'm gonna go ahead
Okay.
and jump on into it. The next two is seconds long, 39 seconds and 35 seconds, respectively. So next one we're gonna get into is housing.
The housing system has hurt people of color more than others. People of color are much less likely to own a house and much more likely to spend a higher percentage of their income on rent. They have a harder time getting loans to buy homes. When they do get loans, they tend to pay higher interest rates. The black home ownership rate is 44%. For whites, it's 74%. People of color generally live in smaller homes. They generally live in less safe neighborhoods, strongly related to the fact that these neighborhoods have concentrated poverty.
So yeah, and this will be a short one because we talked about it last week about housing and things like that. I don't have anything to add to what we said last week.
Well, I could throw a few things out there.
Okay.
Things that a lot of times people are not aware of. So, if you think that systemic discrimination is not current to today's world, I need you to look up Wells Fargo settlements. I need you to look up Navy Federal Credit Union settlements just in the last 5 to 10 years. So just look those up, and you will find where they have violated the Fair Lending Act with respects to how they were determining who gets loans and who doesn't, and they receive fines in relation to those. So that's so you know it's current. Then going backwards just a touch, you have we all think of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, right, when we talk about mortgages and so forth. But those were literally designed and had laws and rules in place that they would not lend to black people. So that means people couldn't get homes in the 20s and 30s and 40s. GI Bill, where we were barred out of there, even though we served this country in military service. That also, right? So you look at from roughly 1619, or those of you who only want to look at the lifetime of the official United States, so 1776, 1781, all the way up until 1868, when we were officially free, then you will find that during that window of time, we actually could not own any property, period. Then coming out of that, there were many states, not just localities, where we still couldn't own property until the 1910s and 1920s. So then from there, you have localities where we couldn't own property. And that led you all the way into the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. So as far as when people could start buying homes that came from African descent, African American descent, because Africans could come over here sometimes and leap around the line. But if you were African American, they had a problem. So that's for those of you out there who think that it's, just made up. By all means, please go back and look up FHA, go back and look up fair lending and how that rule even came to be, and look up the things I told you about current lending issues.
All right, Anna.
That's really I don't know.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the next one, and it is 35 seconds long. Politics.
Here in the United States, the political system has hurt people of color more than others. People of color have more obstacles to voting. In 2016, 1 out of every 13 African Americans couldn't vote due to a felony conviction, compared to 1 out of 56 white Americans. People of color are more likely to have to wait in line to vote. They are more likely to have trouble finding their polling location and finding a time to vote. They are less likely to have an ID to vote.
And so here's where, because this is even conservative logic. It's just thinking things through. Um, I said this before in a recent video that I'm not opposed to voter ID. I'm not. Where you get your opposition from me is the obstruction that's in place that makes it hard for people to get the voter ID. It's kind of like the abortion issue. I am not pro abortion. I'm pro rights. I'm pro a woman being able to make the decisions for herself, what she does with her body. But I absolutely would prefer to see less abortions in this country, period. The difference is how we get there. So for me, I say before you can outlaw abortion, you need to make it easier for people to not have to face that particular choice, right? You need to make sure it's easier for them to bring forth claims of rape and incest. You got to stiffen the punishments that come from it. You got to make sure that the poverty situation in this country is ameliorated on some level. We got to make sure that prenatal care is free and easily accessed, period. Like there's things we need to do. And if you do those things, guess what? Less people will have abortion. Now there's going to be those who have an elective abortion. Ain't nothing you can do about that. That's them. But that is a really small amount of people. So if you really want to get to this end result, what are you trying to do to get there? And I know I went down the abortion path, but it's easier for people to process that. When you think about voting, the voting ID, it's a similar thing, just different in scale. You want to make sure there's less fraud? So you think ID is the way to do that? Then let's make it easier for people to get ID. In fact, you've already done it, America, because in many places you can use a fishing or a hunting license for your voting ID. Where I live at in Georgia, I was able to use my concealed carry permit to vote if I wanted to. So you have multiple ways to do this ID thing if you want to. Let's make it easier for people to get the ID, whether it be state ID or whatever it may be. And then there you go. But the thing is, that's not what you actually want. What you want are less people to vote. What you want is to make sure that only select types of people can vote. You won't even go so far as to say you only want educated people to vote, because if you do that, a lot of you, the trolls out there, you wouldn't be allowed to vote. So you just want to cherry pick who can vote. And that's where we end up with the obstruction, because they can't say that, right? So they go all around it.
Yeah, I'd like
Oh,
to
and then the
see
other thing
you
about
try
moving
one.
polling locations, yeah.
Sorry,
I'm
my
sorry.
internet is a little bit slow. But just I'd love to see some people try some of the tests that used to be in existence. And if you couldn't answer a question in 10 seconds, boom, that. And the only thing I would add is that there are a lot of disabled people who find themselves in the same I cannot vote because of hurdles in the way of me getting to either a polling place or getting set up. And, you know, getting ID is not always just as easy and cut and dry as we would like it to be. It's just another way to look at it.
No, I fully agree with you. But that would take me back to the other thing, though, right? If you are able to claim disability, or you're able to receive your disability SSA or anything like that, means you exist in a system somewhere, right? So then we should help you get your ID. Okay, so on some level, there's a caseworker. on some level. All right. So why aren't you? It doesn't have to be a picture ID because sometimes you can go vote with a freaking piece of mail. Okay. So that right there makes it harder for people who are not the people who pay bills though. So now I don't have a piece of mail. Right. But if you have benefits, then why can't you fill out the forms, get them notarized? Got traveling notaries and all that stuff that's done at the, whatever expense. We can make it possible for people to be registered to vote. We can make it possible for
Sure.
people to have ID. We choose not to. We leave it. That's the problem with our society. We leave it to the individual to be responsible to be able to do things. And that is absolutely ridiculous. There are some things that need to be individualized. That's part of the beauty of America. But there's also the collective aspect of
Voting.
America, right? So certain things we should help each other be able to do, but we choose not to because it doesn't serve that end point that we want. And I meant to say this about when he brought up like harder to get to the places to vote and things like that. If you don't
Mhm.
remember, because this was a big deal some years ago, but it's never stopped, but it just didn't catch on. But this thing called interstate cross check. Republicans have been using interstate cross check for the last few elections. It's a horrible process. What they do is they look for your name and they try to find the same name on the voting rolls somewhere else. Okay. So then they can say, well, you're registered in this state and you're registered in this state. So one of these has to be fraudulent. We're just going to wipe you off the voting rolls. They don't tell you about it. Nothing. They just shut it down, wipe you off. Well, let's see. It's not as prevalent in the black community because our names are more unique or stylized, I guess you could say, but it's enough that it matters.
Mhm.
But in the Latino community, in the Asian community, where names are very repetitious, you are able to wipe out massive numbers of people from the rolls. And if they don't catch it in time and go and re-register actually they have to re-register because ain't nobody telling you what happened, to make sure that you can vote in the next election, you show up and find out you can't vote. So that's
Right.
currently happening. And then you have the situation where, because I used to attend my local community's elections board. They play mad games out there. So they will decide, oh, well, we don't have enough money this election cycle. So we need to close this polling location, this one, and this one. Oh, we don't have enough staff volunteering to come in a year from the election. So, everybody ain't even really signed up yet. We don't have enough staff. So we need to close this one and this one. Next thing you know, you trying to vote. Your polling location is closed. So you show up where you think it's supposed to go. They send you up the road. You go to that one up the road, and they tell you, no, it's not here either. Then next thing you know, so now you've completely missed early voting because you can't figure out where you're supposed to be. So you got to go to the main election site on election day, where the lines are going to be up and around the block, and you still have to go to work, or you got to pick up your kids, or it's raining, or whatever, or they're short staffed. So you're sitting there in lines for hours. These games are being played and they're played intentionally. But once again, they'll say, that's all in your mind. You're just being too sensitive. Well, it's funny how these things only seem to happen in certain areas and they disproportionately impact certain demographics. Sometimes that demographic is racially based or ethnically based. I try to use ethnic instead of racial. But other times it's class based. Poor white, poor black, and poor Latino, they tend to live in the right there, we live right there together. So when they break one, they break them all.
I just want to add this real quick. Um, the closing of polling places, um, the elimination of Sunday voting. When you don't think they're watching how they lose or almost lost, you're lying to yourself. If they lose or they even come close to losing, they are literally looking at how it happened. They're looking at polling places like how many people were there and what was their race. Oh, now all of a sudden we ain't got the money for it. It happened here where I stayed at. There was a polling place that was in a predominantly black neighborhood that got good numbers. They had their employees, kit and caboodle. They shut it down I want to say the month after Biden was elected, saying it was budgeting. How the hell you figured out the budget the week after the election? That is some good accounting. That you realized that you couldn't afford to keep this place open 4 years in advance. They know what they're doing. Yep. Trust me, they know what they're doing.
That's one of the things I often would say is like the people on the proverbial left and then the so-called right, right? The left is less defined than the right. The right is basically anything that's in opposition to the left, right? You know, but people on the right are constantly learning, constantly updating. They have entire groups of think tanks who groom the next batch of lawyers and judges and politicians, who make sure that the right people are connected at the right time, that the money is moving together, so it's all orchestrated. And they learn, oh, that didn't work, but we need to put people in place so that 10 years from now, this won't be a problem, right? Whereas on the left, we're so busy crying about what we don't have, crying about how we're mistreated, whining about why we're being ignored. And I'm not saying that these things aren't true, but we're wasting time because we're sitting here fighting amongst each other, competing over last little shreds of benefit while someone is coming to take it all from you, right? So it's such a sad display. And the left is perfect for doing it. And so here we are. The left generally is playing from last time's playbook. Like we still doing sit-ins, still marching, still call your congressman, right? That's what we still doing. Okay. Meanwhile, on the other side, they're raising money, they're building schools, they're building think tanks. They got classes for anybody who wants to be a politician. I mean, do you not think that someone as dense as Lauren Boebert has to have help to keep even on track as best as she can do, right? It's like this ragtag band of I'm just mad versus this band over here saying, well, we need to maintain our power. And it's not a fair fight.
You have a group of people who crying, moaning, groaning, pouting. Oh my God, it's so terrible, blah, blah, blah. Vote for me. I would try to stop it. I'm going to let you know now. So you're going to tell these people, let's be honest, okay? Let's be honest on the show. You're going to tell a group of people that you're going to stop something that's 10 years in the making. And by the way, I'm telling you 10 years because it was a 10-year plan before that. And there was a 10-year plan before that 10-year plan. Meanwhile, you're fighting something that happened last year or 2 years ago. The left is constantly playing catch up. We can't do that anymore. You're fighting to keep something. They have a 10-year plan to try to take more away. I'm just being honest with y'all. It's tough. But you're playing behind, you're not even on the football field. You're playing in the stands. and trying to win the game.
Yeah, and what's so wild about the whole thing for me, and it plays on so many levels, is the the people who call them are conservatives, right? Whatever you want to put on their party affiliation, they're conservatives, right? So libertarian, Republican, some of the Democrats. It's a conservative mentality. They are trying to maintain a particular status quo, and everything moves within that. So sometimes they lay off over here, and sometimes they intensify over there. They're always fine tuning to try to keep things even to what's most comfortable for them. And the funny thing about it is, that's what you're supposed to do. The problem is those who stand in opposition to them, who are trying to either progress. Well, okay, we use the word progress, but are we truly trying to progress? Because on our side, we're so disjointed, right? You have the abled community set at odds with the disabled community. You have the well off liberals going up against the not well off liberals. You got the progressives going up against the corporatists. You got black people being pitted against Latinos. Everybody is like sitting there fighting each other with no coordinated plan. Meanwhile, your opposition is 98% homogenous. The only thing that differs on the right is how much money you have. So we have to become focused on what it is that we actually want. Until we do that, we're really literally, like Marlon said, we're in the stands. Everybody's just yelling a play down to the field, expecting them to understand. And the only one who can understand what you're saying is you. Because by the time it reaches the field, it's just so
It's just noise.
yeah, you gotta do something, man.
Anna, your last thought.
Okay, I agree and I disagree, because I think we don't often see the full picture. We don't hear a lot about different groups who are looking around their community saying, what can I help right now? Where can I make a difference? And versus people who talk about wanting a better world online. Just I know there are a lot of groups, they don't talk very openly, but we have learned from the right, and we've had these conversations, as much as I can remember, at least from the mid 2000s into the 2010s, about more or less like put up or shut up. Like, what are you doing in your actual community? What are you versus what are you saying? And I try to find more people who are doing, and but I mean, I do hear what you guys are saying, and I don't dispute that there are these problems. We don't have any kind of my people will talk to your people, and our organizations are not organized, and we've been just working on our own for so long, and that is a mindset that has to change.
Fully
So,
concur. Let me say this real quick, Marlon. So fully concur. So a little bit to flesh out what I'm getting at when I was talking about disorganization and all that mess. Because I am one of those people who am trying to build
Mhm.
something, to do something, and I'm working locally, and I've been working locally. But
yeah.
we've always had that, right? Since the dawn of time, humanity has a natural instinct to be free, and it will fight in that direction. The problem is that it's always a minute group that is the vanguard of anything. So you will go and you will find multiple people running around with buckets of water, throwing the water on the problems that they can see. But it's a
Mhm.
rare thing to get each of these people to decide, hey, we need to form a hose and form a team so that we can string this thing out. Or, hey, where's the logistics of which fire is most important? Hey, how like you said, the organization piece is missing. In any movement, focusing on the black community, any movement that has achieved any meaningful progress in this country has been roughly done by about 20% of the population. About 20%. The other 80% actually opposes the 20% or passively just watches, you know, what's happening. It's a motivated small group that does things. And then out of that 20, there's a smaller group that has plans and, leadership and all of that. So what we have right now, and we've been in America is very effective in doing this. Their job is to keep that 20% from coming together. That's America's job. It will make sure that that leading 10% or 15% doesn't get the extra 5 or 10 that they need so that they can actually galvanize and move and cause a movement. But we can still continue to work around that. For example, I'm building our United Core. It has a multifaceted approach, but even within that, it primarily serves the Black community. But part of the mission statement is to build alliances with the Latino community and with the Native American indigenous community so that you can actually start to organize some of these groups that already exist. Because we have very close shared interests, right? But I'm just one guy who doesn't even know what he's doing. So what I'm getting at is like we're so broken up on our side because that's what we're doing. We got 10,000 groups on our side going up against a well coordinated army.
All right, let's move on. Move on to the next one. I don't know if it's going to take us into the second hour or not, but oh, by the way, I meant to ask y'all a favor while it's on my mind. The second hour is the Mama Heart hour, and I promise you, I've been forgetting to put the Mama Heart banner up for everybody to know that's the second hour. So please remind me that hey, this is her hour. Like, hey, Marlon, where's the banner? Where's the banner?
No,
We need the banner for the second hour. Because the last couple of shows, I've been like, what is, oh my God, no, that's terrible. Her banner should be at the bottom to celebrate her. So if I don't do it, please remind me. Let's go ahead and get into these next one, and that's the criminal justice system.
As I already mentioned, the criminal justice system has hurt people of color more than others. There's no evidence whatsoever that people of color use or sell drugs at a higher rate than whites. Yet, they get arrested much more and then get harsher prison sentences. Black males get federal sentences around 20% longer than white males for the exact same crime. People of color are more likely to get stopped and frisked and harassed by police officers. In the United States, blacks are between 2 to 4 times more likely to be killed by police than white people. Do blacks commit more crimes in the United States? Well, they get arrested more, is all we know. Keep in mind that the majority of arrests are drug-related. Now, do blacks commit more violent crimes? According to the data, yes, but that data is often insufficient and misleading. Also, folks conveniently leave out the fact that most of that is due to gang violence, and gang violence is rooted in, you guessed it, poverty.
So let me say this real quick while it's on my mind. And I've known this for years, or not known, it was taught to me. Black people have been arrested well more than white people. That's the trolls' argument for the longest time. We're arrested more. Well, if you wasn't that bad, why are you arrested more? I would say let me use an analogy, but it's really not an analogy. It's kind of the truth. If you have more cops patrolling black neighborhoods than white neighborhoods, where do you think the predominantly more arrests are going to come from? If you have the ability, policy, law, whichever one it is, because it's two things. It's policy in one place, it's a law in another place, where you can stop any black individual on the street and frisk him. You wouldn't dare do that in a white neighborhood because you just wouldn't. Do you think you're going to find more in the black neighborhood than you would in the white neighborhood? We are arrested more because we are watched more. I mean, it's simple math. You can't arrest somebody that you're not even paying attention to. The group of individuals that you're not paying attention to, you're not going to arrest them. If the majority of your law enforcement is black and Latino and the Asian community, and you go, they're being arrested 10 times more than the white community. Really? Because they're watched more. Meanwhile, we're looking on the other side, and the only time we get anything out of the white community is when it's the most horrific crimes there possibly is. And I mean terrible crimes. I used to watch so many of these crime shows, and you'll be amazed at how many times I have laughed at and he has been having usually talking about a white family or white organization or whatever. Little did they know they've had this going on for years under the noses of the police department. Gee, I wonder why they're not being watched. They're not even being looked at. They're not even looking in that direction. But you're shocked that it has been going on for years. I'm not even close to being shocked. If anything, I'm shocked that you shocked about it. So I'll shut up now. That's all I wanted to say.
No, it's funny. Maybe we can couch this slightly different. Because oftentimes the discussion is framed as this happens to black people and this happens to white people, and so it gets distilled into these weird kind of shape shifting things. I happen to be one of those people who nowadays who says that the machine is so wild at this point that white folks ain't really running it like that no more. Like They've already made the monster. Frankenstein is running rampant at this point. They can't control Frankenstein's monster no more, right? So it would take a concentrated effort for white America, as they say, to actually bring some of this stuff to heel. At this stage of the game, we are being targeted not because we're black. We're being targeted because we're not white. There's a distinction there, right? The Asian community largely goes unmolested because they are considered like the closest thing to white because of money, income, right? So it allows you to kind of morph a little bit, right? You live closer to the white people. You have a lot more infrastructure that you're responsible for. So don't want to mess with you like that. But like one of the things you said, Marlon, what you inspect, you will detect. Right? Has anyone ever bothered to take the time? Well, I know some people have, but have you ever taken the time to think about if the black community or communities where black and Latinos are, because we're really the ones who are the indigenous people have been forgotten. That's how bad this is. And sorry, black folk, we're on our way that direction. Like we've been striving to get closer to the white direction, but you run the numbers and you look at our overall trajectory, we're headed towards the indigenous people's experience. And nobody wants that, right? So you got more police in these areas and yet you still have high crime. How is it that you can have more police somewhere and yet the crime rate doesn't come down? But over here, there's no police and the crime rate's low. Now, for a racialist, they could say, well, it's easy. White people don't commit crime. But then you run the numbers and you realize the prisons are like 60% white. So obviously white people do commit crime. So, and then it's like, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. But yeah, we are criminalized simply because we are not white. So you put more police in the community so you can start rounding up people. What drives much of the crimes that get people in prison is generally three things, but all three have a common thread of poverty. One, mental illness, untreated, unsupported, unchecked mental illness. Two, poverty. And then three, drug dependency and addiction. All three of these have poverty just sitting right there. Right there. And if you could just go ahead.
Let me stop you real quick. And I'm gonna give you a chance to talk. Since we already gone there, it so happened that the next video is poverty. So let's just go ahead and jump into the subject you just brought up, poverty.
Being in poverty is perhaps the strongest predictor of whether or not someone will commit a crime. You see, desperate people often resort to desperate measures in order to survive.
Disparities do not mean systemic racism. Disparities mean disparities.
But what caused those disparities?
A black married man has the same unemployment rate as do whites. What is stopping a black person from going to a college or university?
Poverty?
The things that you mentioned are disparities. Tell me how these disparities are because of racism.
Poverty.
You mentioned mortgage applications. It is true that blacks are turned down at a higher rate for mortgages than whites. It's also true that Asians are turned down less often than whites. How do you explain that?
Generational poverty caused by systemic racism. Again, poverty underlies all of these. And yeah, we must recognize that there's a lot of white folks in poverty as well, including much of my own family. This is why I think the term white privilege does more harm than good, raising awareness about systemic racism, as it tends to downplay the experiences of poor white folks. In reality, we could just as easily call it wealth privilege instead of white privilege.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
that last part was kind of
No. I'm not picking at it. I'm not picking at it. Well, it's once again, we're always coddling white emotions. Okay. So yes, white privilege. No, it's not the most perfect term. You'll never get to the most perfect terms. It's kind of like when they're saying defund the police. Well, that's a terrible term and we shouldn't use it. Well, what's a better one that would have even caused a conversation? Because we've been saying restructure and reshape and reform. We've been saying all that stuff for years. It wasn't until they said defund that the conversation started. White privilege is not saying that white people live a life of luxury and privilege. What it's saying is life is hard for all of us. But you can't count being non-white as being one of the things that makes it harder for you. Right? Like you don't walk out the door and be like, oh, I'm white. I might not get the job because my name's different than a white name. Look it up. Plenty of studies. There you go. Right? You got an ethnic sounding name. Your resume ain't getting pulled at the same rate. They got studies galore for this. Right? Talk to our Middle Eastern, Middle Eastern is the wrong term. Our Asian family members that are not like with Chinese and Korean names. Okay, because that's a privileged group within the Asian community. But you talk about Indian folks, Pakistani folks, where their names are like, to be funny, I'm being funny about it, but their names are like that long, right? 18 consonants and 3 vowels. But in order for them to get the job, Rajasthanistan has to change his name to Raj. Right? It's like this stuff is baked in. So when people tell you that there is no racism, I tell you, well, what language am I speaking? If it wasn't for the race situation, I wouldn't be speaking English. Okay? If it wasn't for some of the issues we have baked into hiring practices and things like that, then there wouldn't be a discrepancy between people with ethnic sounding names, which is just another way of saying non-white, and people with European or Anglican names, right? So white privilege, I get the emotion that it stirs up, but it's supposed to. It is a term that is supposed to make you pause and be like, wait a minute, I don't like how that feels. Because the opposite of privilege is oppression. So maybe if you look at how you feel when someone says you have privilege, you can look at the opposite side of that and maybe identify obstruction, oppression, and obstruction, right? So that's the thing there. Yeah, and then like he was talking about with poverty and everything, what's making this hard for a lot of people, and it was done intentionally, is the further and further you get away from the big events, the big boogeyman things, the harder it is to put your finger on things, right? So we 150 years out of slavery. So people are like, that's a long time ago. And yet they'll talk to you about the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, though, like that's yesterday. Or they'll talk about Jim Crow. That was so long ago. Oh, okay, but you still talking to me about the Civil War in World War One and World War Two, right? So like, how you gonna talk to me about those? Like that's relevant current knowledge, but when I say Jim Crow, that's a long time ago, right? It's hard to put your finger on things, and then you always got your pick-me's. You know, somebody told me this a long time ago. You don't have to be.
Let me add something to you. And say we so stuck on slavery and how bad slavery is and it's terrible slavery and you don't have y'all. It's the funny thing, y'all the same people who was really pissed off when we took them Confederate statues down, though. Really upset, was he?
That's because they don't know the history,
right? But you don't want to talk about slavery, but let's talk about the Confederacy.
Right, because to them, remember, these are the same people that'll tell you, Dick and Haley, that the Civil War wasn't about slavery. See what I'm saying? So to them, they're still fighting the lost cause. So to them, these are heroes who were brave enough to stand up for their local economy and culture and custom, slavery, to go against the established order for their rights and their freedoms while depriving other people of freedom, slavery. So to them, slavery isn't part of that. And they don't even realize because they don't know, because they don't have to know, and because when they're getting this distorted history from their preachers at church, and they're getting this distorted history from family members at Thanksgiving and all the other times that you talk about random things, that these statues were put in place in the 1920s. They were put up directly for Jim Crow. They weren't even put up coming out of the Civil War. So it's like, that's why it's like,
I have
it's
to
just,
push back on one thing that you said there. One thing that you were saying, because I remember this distinctly. It wasn't put up in the 20s. Those statues were put up in the 60s, right after the civil rights movement.
no, there was some that went up, but this junk started before that because the Daughters of the Confederacy were instrumental in getting those statues in place in the 19 teens in the 1920s.
The ones that was in South Carolina and North Carolina, those were the 60s. We have 2 streets that was straight up named after a Confederate general that recently was changed during the pandemic. If you look on the map of the area, it still has that name. They changed the street signs. But you still have on the map, they still have the name of the Confederate general.
Yeah, but here's why this stuff doesn't work out so well. Okay, one is because we're dealing with a culture. Okay, a culture. Run it back as far as you go. They've been the same. They've been the same before they were doing it to us. They were doing it to each other. Okay, so there's a culture of this mess that's going on. But then the other thing is the American identity has never truly been challenged until recently. And the reason why it hasn't been challenged until recently is because all the other voices in the room were told to be quiet. And now you're getting more voices in the room that are speaking up and telling about their perspective and their lived experience and how this stuff all came to be while they were told to be quiet in the past. And so the dominant culture in America, the European-centered aspect of America, is having to deal with something that it historically has not had to deal with. It was able to be told very positive stories about the abolitionists who fought against slavery. They were told the positive stories about the kindly slaveholders. They were sold the pomp and circumstance of the genteel life, you know, with the flowing dresses and the lemonade and the horse races, and like they were given all of these things. And I'm not saying it to be funny, real talk. Like this is what they were sold, right?
It's true.
You know, yeah, like they were told about how it was safe to walk the streets. You can go out any time of night, and they weren't told about every time, well, not every time, but just about every time that they went and destroyed a black community because a white woman said she was touched, she was actually touched by a white man. But they don't say that part. Okay. But they were only given one half of the story for so long that the fables became facts to them. And now you have all these voices coming in saying, "Now let's correct the record, man. That's not how it went down." Like Robert E. Lee was not a hero. He was a traitor to the country, right? South Carolina, they didn't hide why they were seceding from the nation. They said it was to protect slavery. It's in their constitution, right? They're not taught these things. So when you go up against them, you're going up against all these years of emotional training, and it hurts. And they don't want to deal with it, so they push it aside. What America should have been doing all this time is reconciling itself with its past, so that we can continue to build a better future. But it refuses to do that. So now we're at each other's throats, right? Because the world is evening out. The world is flattening, right? So now poor white folks are really poor. Like, you were poor before, but you didn't have to feel that you were poor because you had a local manufacturing plant. You had the coal industry sitting right here in your yard. You didn't have to feel poor because relative to everybody around you, you were okay. Now your child got to compete with my child. Worse yet, your child got to compete with a first generation immigrant from Honduras. You know what I'm saying? So we got some issues right now.
All right, and I'm gonna let you have the last word for the hour.
There's not a whole lot to add. I mean, if you don't see your privilege as something that you can actually wield for good, you're not looking at it correctly. And sorry, there are too many subjects that we just went over. I'm trying to.
Oh, take your time.
No. The more I try, the more brain is not.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and shut down the first hour. Maybe a Tracy will come in on the second hour because we have a full lineup for the Mama Heart Hour. I'm remembering now, the Mama Heart Hour. So we have a full show. We have a Real or Not, Am I the A-Hole, Positive Story, Mafia video, and Foxy video. So we are filled up for the second hour. Just giving you a heads up on the Am I the A-Hole. We anticipated to February. Okay? So everybody can't get mad at me. I didn't do it on purpose, but we at least made it to February. But the Am I the A-Hole is the first candidate for the worst person of the year 2024. So 3-minute break to reboot and refresh, and we'll see everybody on the other side. Stay tuned.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise. to the place for which our parents sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading on path through the blood of the Son. Now from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is fast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us the star on the way, thou who hast by thy mind led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places of God where we met thee, lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
We are back. Hello, Tracy.
Tracy.
So before we even get started, let's go ahead and pay those bills. Radical Truth to Power tomorrow at 8 p.m. where we will continue with our segment of systemic racism. Please tune in. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please do not forget to go to patreon.com/Tracy Media Fan. Help support Tracy and all of her endeavors. Please do not forget to go to Anna Hart's website, forreallyetcetera.com. Learn something that you didn't think you need to know, but you should. And as always, if you need to reach me, you can do so at radtp@outlook.com. That's radtp@outlook.com. And next week, and he's going to be mad at me and everything else. Next week, this is OUC will be on the banner starting next week.
Parker had a question, actually.
Now, Parker had a question for you, Theas. You may have already said this earlier, but what does the Theas of OUC mean?
Oh, yes, certainly. Thank you for asking, Parker. So OUC is just the acronym for Our United Core. So Our United Core is a new community development organization that I've established. And basically, it's taking what we did with Complex Mind, Simple Man, and we are moving it to the next level. So we're focused on educational outreach, educational workshops. There's a podcast that's recently been launched where I talk about what our focuses are, like what is our United Core, right? There's that side of it. There will be a YouTube component, which is where I will actually do more of that talk, but also like some of the short form educational topics that we'll work through. And then once we go past our soft launch, because right now we're in the pre-soft launch, right? So right now we're just gaining interest and seeing which people are interested. There's a survey that's out there. To get to it, please go to Our United Core on Facebook, and you'll be able to click the link and complete it there. And then more to come. But hey, thank you for asking. Great question.
It was a great question.
Is this a link that I could possibly put on my website to help gain a little bit of access?
Absolutely. Only reason I haven't started sharing it a little bit wider is because the link is just a statement of interest. So it's, people who may want to ultimately become members, so we can give more information to them as we get close, once we get ready to do that soft launch. Because when I do the soft launch, sorry, Marlon, when I do the soft launch, those who sign up on the initial run as the original founding members, you're grandfathered in at a much lower membership rate. So no matter if we have to increase the rates, which we will, for the official launch, you are grandfathered in at the lower amount. So that's going to happen one time. It's going to run for probably about a month. Once we open it up, I anticipate that'll be March. And then we're going to shut it down and focus on those who are the founding members to work with me on, hey, here are the thoughts. Hey, here's some things I want to push back on, or have you considered maybe doing this, right? Is much more involved and organic with those founding members, because this is a new project and we want to be able to get it as right as we can. And then once we're ready to go full live, the membership fee will increase, because now we're going to be actually moving towards our more aggressive projects.
Okay, I just have one question. Sorry, Marlon, what? You said sorry, Marlon.
Oh, because I just monopolized like 5 minutes of time.
I was taking out.
I'm so used to it.
Yeah, but that's usually when I'm running my mouth on something else.
Like the weather?
Boo.
Am I the a-hole? Okay. Off the bat, this group sucks rocks. I said to remind me, nobody reminded me. So
hey, make sure you put up the Mama Heart banner.
Oh, I already got it now. No.
Hey, I came in the second hour, so
yeah. So just I'm glad you got that up there. Just let you know.
Thank you. You let me. Boo.
If you could make it a calendar item, that way you would never forget. I mean, your phone, there's this little calendar thing, and you just put it on there, and then you just write a note to yourself.
Or the four of us, out of four,
I came in on the second hour, so you can't blame me.
Did you not hear me ask it the first hour?
I wasn't paying attention to that part. I was getting ice cream.
And a calendar reminder is one that doesn't care if anybody remembers. It'll remember for you.
It really will get on your nerve until you say stop. It really
But that's what it's for.
Okay, everybody. We went all the way into the month of February, okay? We made it all the way to February. I didn't look out for it. I wasn't even trying to. I tried to have a nice year. So far, so good. But here is your first candidate for the worst person of the year 2024.
Oh, my daughter loves you and she's your best friend. I don't care. Starve to death. Am I the butthole for not letting my brother and his wife come to my wedding? I'm a 19-year-old woman and I'm autistic, and no one else in my family is autistic. One of my brothers, Marcus, who's 29, got married to Lilith, who's 28, 6 years ago. They live far away from me, so I didn't know her that well until they moved back here a bit over a year ago. At first, I was really happy to have my brother around more, but the happiness didn't last long. It started with Lilith referring to me as it. Yo, what? I told her she can call me she or they, but it makes me uncomfortable, and she apologized. Then she did it another time, and when I corrected her, she said that it was just a joke. I told her that it wasn't funny and to not do it. A while after that, I was having a hard time, and I needed to leave our bowling session early, and I heard Lilith say to Marcus as I was leaving, "Don't feel bad. It's not your fault that it's restarted." All right, guys, I'm going to say that again because this is a weird sentence, just so you understand what she said. Don't feel bad. It isn't your fault. It's restarted. If you don't know, restarted is a variation of the R slur word. I was upset, and I talked to Marcus a couple of days later, and she told me that she was just joking. I told him that it really bothered me, and he said that he would talk to her. Fast forward a bit, and my fiance Sean, who's 28, wait, OP is 19, a 19-year-old girl, and her fiance is a 28-year-old man? Okay. Fast forward a bit, and my 28-year-old fiance Sean shows me about a conversation he had with Lilith over text. She basically insinuated that he has a kink for R-worded girls and that he did a good job finding such a pretty one who can't think but must be nice in other ways. Wow! Whoa! Sean was very upset that she had said this, and so was I. I tried to talk to Marcus, but he just told me that Lilith has a dark sense of humor and that she didn't mean to upset anyone. I felt hurt by this still. So when we made invites, we didn't include Marcus or Lilith. When they asked about it, I explained why I made the decision I did, and they were livid? Yo, what am I reading? Now, all my family is saying that if I don't let Marcus and Lilith come, then they won't come. They bring it up whenever I see them or try to talk to them, and they tell me that I'm being a butthole about it. Oh my god, you people. Oh.
Where do you find these people at?
First of all, I apologize. That's the worst editing crap I've ever done in my life for the longest time. I'm so sorry. That's terrible.
That's what you apologize for?
Yeah, I'm like, for real? Really?
Okay, let
Well,
me
all
go
the
ahead.
bad stories you could have found, this the one? Okay.
Boy.
Let me go ahead and go first then, cause
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
gotta
put myself
wait.
on mute. I might cuss. This don't make no sense.
I'm gonna go ahead and ignore the age difference thing because we don't know. We just
We
don't.
don't know what, 19 and 28? That's pretty simple math right there, bro.
I'm not getting into that. I don't want to get into that. But what I want to get into is this is the second story that we done heard this. It's a joke. It's a joke. So I'm at the Tracy level where Tracy wants to say something, but she can't because she just came from church. I came from church, so I can say what the hell I want to. It's the second hour, so I can cuss too. So the next time she even remotely says it to you, that you were it, then calls and says it's a joke, you can calmly look her in the face and just go, "Oh, I truly understand." And then you talk to your brother and you tell him it's insulting that she uses the word it. Now you have to make sure that the wife is around when you say this, okay? And he'll say, it's not that big of a deal, it's a joke. You tell them, "Oh, I understand. It's not your fault that you married a pompous bitch." When he gets upset, you look him dead in the face and go, "It's a joke." You see how this works? Do you see how that sentence that she had to say in the bowling alley, she literally had to go out of her way to use the word it? Trick, it is not a person. That's what you just told her, that she's not a person. Then you go behind her back to demoralize you to her boyfriend, to her fiance. You are fucking scum. It is real simple. And I know you're 19. We have a slew of people over here who have been through some things and have done that. But you're going to get to this point where you're just going to look at your brother, his wife, and your family at some point. And when they go, "You're out of line, this is a bad thing," you can literally look them in the face with a clear heart and a clear conscience and go, "Fuck you, brother, fuck you, wife, fuck you, family." And will not have a problem with none of it. You will not disrespect me for your entertainment. Because that's all this is. Now we can go into it's a bullying thing and everything. Bullying is entertainment for people. That's what bullying is to entertain them. It's to give them jollies or to make them superior. Whichever route you're going to do, whichever way you want to do it, fine and dandy. I'm not going to be the bottom of your entertainment. Now, if you want to go toe-to-toe, let's go. But I am not going to be that person. And if your decision is you don't want to be bothered with me because I won't let you degrade me, then you can miss me. It is no problem. I'd rather have you out of my life than in it. It's that simple. You serve no value to me being in my life if degrading is making you feel superior. That's not school.
Now, I was just going to say, I agree that the way you're not making the decision, your family's making the decision. So it's not you disowning them, they are disowning you. So you do what's best for you. Okay. But I would say that I also respect that this might not be, well, no, this certainly will not be easy for you, given my limited experience with people on the spectrum. See, part of being on the spectrum from what I've experienced is sometimes it's hard to read some of these emotional cues. So sometimes you think that you're not even reading them right. So some of this stuff goes over your head or you don't process it the same way like I would process it. Then there's also when you're on the spectrum, as smart as you are over here, you're very vulnerable over there. So some of the very same people who are responsible for protecting you in your vulnerable spots, you are now telling this person that they need to disown. Well, they have to put that structure back together somewhere because they can't function without it. So they're caught in a really, really tough spot beyond just like what we would deal with, which would be hard enough, right? Just having to separate yourself from your family. But there's a whole nother set of layers that this young lady has to take on. Now, I think from what they shared, I would say she needs to be like, hey, don't be there. Okay. But I'm also worried for her that she's 19 with a 28-year-old. Y'all ain't got a whole lot in common. I don't care how much you do have in common. Y'all ain't got a whole lot in common yet because 28 is just barely out of the 25 to 28 range, and 19 ain't even hit 25 to 28 range. Both of y'all changing way too much in your lives right now, and you're in two different ends of that window. So my concern would be you have to separate yourself from your family. That's one support system that could cause you to lean even heavier on your now fiance spouse, which now empowers that person. So you could very well be in a position where you're going to be victimized by this new person because there's a new dynamic being pushed into the window here. So this one ain't that easy for me. This one, the only part that's easy is your family ain't is not doing right by you, and you got to find a way to protect yourself. But I'm really worried for what she could be walking into. But that's just my take. I don't know what I'm talking about.
All right, Anna. And you're muted before you say anything.
Yeah, everything that they said. I really hope this person can create the support system that they need. I'm sorry, I saw red. Um, trying hard not to cry. Because the R word is really hard. They take in things differently. That can be a blessing or a curse. They can sometimes see things you wouldn't even think about in a conversation. But yes, as I've talked about before, there are I fear for this person the amount of masking because their family changed like that. Sorry, my internet's a little weird. I just hope this person gets some support and just reach out. Because, yeah, I'm afraid of where that goes. If you only have one person, that's hard.
All right, Tracy.
Where do you find
I'm
these
done.
people? Where do you find them? Where do you? I'm unmuted. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, we heard
Oh,
you three times. Where did you
where do
find them?
you
Yeah,
find
Can
them?
you
we
hear?
got
I'm
you.
serious. You think okay? Last year's chick was way worse. Oh no, you said hold my beer. Let me get this person. This is a
Last year was way worse.
nah. This one, I'm like the. Let me break this apart the way I want to. I don't hope this makes sense. I like this. I'm concerned that she's too young to be getting married. He needs to be finding somebody his own age and stop getting little girls because basically 19 is a little girl to me. That's number one concern. She may be latching onto him because he's the only one that treats her better than her family. And that's concerning to me. I don't know if she's, boy, I'm going all deep here. I don't know if she's in love with him the way she thinks she is, because it doesn't sound like it. It just sounds like she likes this. She has like this idea, and she hasn't quite grown out of that. That's the first problem I had. And why you 28 and you gonna date a little girl? Yes, she's a little girl, 19. Dude, come on. You can't find a 26-year-old, a 22-year-old, a 20. No, 22 still young. A 35. You just 19. Nah, come on, bruh, come on. Her brother, OP's brother, is a piece of garbage. She literally came to sister-in-law and said, "This offends me. This hurts me." Well, she was just joking. No, there's just joking like, why does a chicken cross the road? And what she did. She told him, she told the sister-in-law, I don't know what else she's supposed to do but uninvite them. Why should? And as far as the family, who cares what they think? I mean, they should be concerned she's marrying a 28-year-old, yes. But to say she's the a-hole, no, you got that a-hole title on the wrong person. Usually I would say, well, let me hear the other side of the story, because there's always two sides. There's actually three sides. Her side, their side, and the truth. Those are the three versions you get. This one, nah. She doesn't have to. They need to be uninvited from her life. Period. For her to use that R word, one of the most offensive terms you could pick. It's in the same category as the N word to me. It's degrading, it's dehumanizing, it's I can't even say what I think it is, because I know I gotta go to church tomorrow and I don't feel like I ain't in no repentant mood, so I'm gonna try not to say what I'm thinking. But this sister-in-law is playing evil. I mean, she told you, this hurts my feelings when you say this. And you went and did it again, and then you texted the fiance, who's still too old for be dating a 19-year-old, and you said that you were glad he got a pretty R word as her. Are you serious? Oh no. See, the Tracy and me, we'd have been fighting. And I mean, seriously, I'd be like, we can step this outside, because that's it. That's it. I mean, I know violence does not solve anything. I'm telling you
That's
right
not
now.
true.
Violence does not solve anything. But in this one particular case, yeah, me and her gonna have some words. We're gonna have to have some words, because she told her. She said, this hurts me. And you said, oh, I got this weird sense of humor. Now, I have been known to have an off sense of humor. I think that the baby Scarface is one of the funniest sketches that I've ever seen. It's funny to me. I said to me. Because they're making fun of school plays and how parents like push their kids and how bad school plays are. That's one type of sick funny. But I have never, ever sat there and heard a comedian tell a joke, use the R word, like, let's he use the R word. No. Oh, and Wilkins Coffee. Yes, Wilkins Coffee was hilarious.
That was good. And the Red House was good.
That's twisted and dark. This is demonic. That sister-in-law's got a demon in her. Period.
Okay, now I got into it. Okay, this whole demonic stuff. All right, no, she's just a bad person. But
Yeah.
Demon.
But what I would say though, and normally I don't put any word if they're with the N word, but this word really is. It truly is, because whole groups of people, because of their apparent cognitive ability or even their physical disposition, have been murdered in the most callous and cruel ways, have been experimented upon,
Yep.
have been stuck in asylums and sexually and physically and mentally abused and tortured, all because of a characteristic deemed by another group as not being normative. You can't get much closer to the N word than that one. And the thing about that word is it affects everybody. Right? So yeah, but here's one thing I would say though. Here's the thing I would say. People can be taught to see the error of their ways and grow.
They can.
People can. They can. Right? Case in point, there's a huge thing going on right now about Eminem and his racist rap lyrics before he made it big. Hey, fair call out, right? Cool. But then I'm one of those people who say you also got to look at somebody's track record. Who are they now compared to them? And what have they shown themselves and proven themselves to be since whatever this period is that you're talking about? So this sister-in-law doesn't sound like she's going to come to a realization because no one around her is holding her to account. The only person trying to hold her to account is the victim. In order for the sister-in-law to grow from this, the husband or fiance, whatever he is, he got to stand up to her. Parents got to stand up to her. The people who are supposed to be protecting this young lady need to do their job and protect this young lady. It doesn't end when she's 18. It doesn't end when she's 25. It doesn't end until you end. That's what family does. See, family is a lifetime commitment. So she's being failed by her family on that particular point. But I am saying that the sister-in-law may or may not be beyond hope. She could grow from this. Because I know myself when I was young, like high school age. Oh, bro, I was homophobic. I was a bully. I was mean. I said some things that shame me to this day. But I was able to grow because people were around me. I was held to account. I lost a friendship that meant the world to me because when I looked back at it, I saw that it was my ways that cost me one of the best friendships I've ever had in my life. So there's ways to grow and become a better person. I'm not saying it from what we've been told in the story.
No, the sister, the OP, yeah.
But I'm just putting it out there that we sometimes we can't be so quick to just completely cast somebody off. And when you label someone demonic, you're kind of putting them out there like that. Like they're now irredeemable at that point. So I just it was it's cool. Sometimes I carry people's faith better than they sometimes put it out there, but it's just this young lady needs somebody. She needs a community. She needs a community. She needs a new community.
OP told her, this hurts me. And she still came back and said, watch this, hold my beer. Nah, I used the right word because that's a perfect word.
Because that's because demonic is not even a real thing to most people. But it's a subject of your faith. It's not. That doesn't make it fact. To me. Yeah. Doesn't make it fact.
That's why I said it the way I did. Because, like I said, she pointed, she said, this hurts me. This hurt. When you come to somebody and says, this hurts me, and they do the same thing, no. It's no other word.
They got to go.
I know how to use.
Here's the funny thing.
They got to go. I'm with you. They got to go. They can't be. They got to go.
Here's the funny thing about it, and I'm agreeing with these. She's not going to change.
Nope.
That's why I don't agree with the demonic thing. The winner of last year, if we're going to use your definition, Tracy, that's demonic. This woman was pissed off about, well, y'all watched the winner of last year's worst person of the year. You know, that's evil. This woman right here is just not being held accountable. And apparently she hasn't been held accountable all her life. And she's not being held accountable now. Now, you have married into a family who has a family member who you thought that R word was okay with. Now, a normal family groupization would look at you and go, no, you can't bring that crap into this family. So you need to get your crap together or you need to bounce. I mean, it's just that simple. But it's not. They've taken her side. So she's going to change because, hey.
I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with this brother, though. tell you
Oh, the
something.
brother. A lot of things could be wrong with him.
Because let me put it like this: if you said my siblings are even ugly, I'm gonna be up in your face. I don't care if you said what you're saying about them is true. I'm gonna still be up in your face.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's this type of family who
Got some kind of problem. That's what they got.
subconsciously it's a family who I'm not gonna say they agree with the sister-in-law. I'm not gonna say that. But they're more lenient when it comes to the situation. I'm not
They
even gonna
too
say
dang on lenient for me because that don't make no sense.
Well, I would say this is. I'm going to piggyback off of when we've had discussions about caretakers. I would say that this is a family that has raised this young lady,
yeah.
that has been with this young lady all of her life. So they've become desensitized to certain things. So it's almost like dealing with some of the Trump people, right? They don't necessarily believe in what Trump is saying and doing, but it's somebody who is saying what they wish they could say. So that could also be a part of it. They're exhausted, they're desensitized, and they are now turning the corner, or no, not turning. They have turned their corner to being cruel and being dangerous because they resent her for her disability. See what I'm saying? So once a caretaker, whether it be family member or what, a hired person, there is a point, because we're all human. There's a point where an individual can shift because they're not in it for the right reasons. They might feel like they were saddled with her instead of her being just a part of their lives. They could feel that she's holding her back or holding them back, or, oh, all my life I've had to be more sensitive about my little sister, but now, right? So there's things that could be bubbling up inside that's manifesting out, which is allowing this person to get away with it. It doesn't mean they don't love the woman. It doesn't mean any of that, but it does mean that they have become toxic as far as how they view her. They are resentful of her. I'm saying that is one possible scenario based off what I've seen with people who are either caretakers or family members of less than ideal circumstances. But I could be wrong. Put that out there.
Say something about my siblings. I got something for you.
Oh, I'm with you.
I agree. All right, from that toxic crap to
not another
positive
one.
Story of the week.
Oh, positive.
I like the dirty music.
That wasn't dirty.
That's not
dirty music.
Sound like dirty music to me. Ain't nobody else hear the dirty music?
I'm so concerned about what you do on your time off.
Nah, that's retro dirty music. So that's like, finding old VHS tapes. Dirty music.
I'm really concerned about what you
How come they know what it sounds like, though? That's my thing.
That's what bothers me.
Like, how do y'all know this?
I'm here. I dropped my screwdriver. Can you pick that up?
We used to joke. I'm gonna move on, but we used to joke about that when we was younger. It's just like, this is the worst script ever written.
They have scripts. Now, I ain't never watched porn, but they got scripts.
Oh, some of the best ones have full storylines. Some of the worst ones is when they get way too into it. You could tell this is somebody who meant to go to like theater school and never made it. So now they trying to make adult movies, but ain't no action in it. No action. It's just a whole lot of movie. You're like, come on, man. Ain't nobody came here for this.
Where they come up with the dumbest excuses just to get into it. Like, I'm going to go your route, what you just said. Oh, gosh, I dropped my screwdriver. I got a screwdriver for you. It's like, well, are you serious? How did you get to point A to point B? Just go
Who
ahead
cares?
and do
We
it.
came here for point B.
I'm just it sounds
Insert
like I'm not
tab
missing
A
anything.
into slot B. That's what we came here. That was the portion of the instructions that we came for.
You do got a point. Like, okay,
So in other words, I'm not missing anything.
not
Oh,
really.
you're missing a lot. There are so many genres. Like you like genres. There are so many genres.
Yeah.
Now some of them scar your soul, so you gotta be
I
careful.
know
It's
what you mean now. Some of them.
disturbing stuff.
Yeah.
You be
It's,
like, go down the wrong wormhole, boy. You just be like, oh boy.
okay, let's go ahead and do a positive story. And it's not like we wasn't talking positive on this subject anyway, but still, let's go to another positive story. Go ahead and relax on this because it's kind of long. It's all literally almost 5 minutes.
Look at that. See, that could have been a line in a movie. Go ahead and relax on this because it's kind of long. That would have probably been like in the therapist's office where there's a nice couch. There's a real nice couch. But you know,
Anywho,
I'm just gonna ignore it and just act like I didn't even hear it. That's what
hey,
I'm
yeah. Talking about the couch.
I'm just
yeah,
gonna
just
deal
like
with it my own way.
years ago, you was talking about the car.
I am. I'm just talking about the couch. The couch is nice and long. You can relax on it. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's got studs.
Sometimes
On
it's
it,
a
you
little
know.
Don't, Thea, see.
No,
I
now
knew this
Anna,
was
you got
go.
Anna doing
We're
this
gonna
now.
do that
Come
whole
on.
car thing again when you gonna just start adding stuff to the couch. No, I will take you off. No, stop it. Bad, Thea, it's bad.
Oh,
Shag
So
rug.
anyway,
You rather be bare floor? I understand.
no,
just show the video, please.
no, because I knew he was gonna do that. He did the same thing with the car like 2 years ago. He kept going on and on, and it got worse and worse. So anyway, go ahead and relax. It's almost 5 minutes long, but it's a very good story. The Karen that wasn't.
Let me preface this by saying this is not my story, it's my friend's, but I was with him at the time this happened. We were at the shopping center buying stuff for our annual camping, fishing, summer trip a couple years ago before the world went bad. As both of us were already almost done with the needed goodies and had just needed to buy some extra cans, one folding camping chair, and possibly a thermos. I can't recall the exact things to save my life, and it doesn't really matter. We were in our off-road outfits, leather boots, camo, clothes, and backpacks. An older gentleman was in the same aisle as us. His cart was left a little away from him as he didn't want to push it all the way. He was using a walking cane. He then approached us and asked us where the croissants were. We'd already passed the food area, and we also knew that in order for him to get there, he'd have to limp over to his cart and then all the way back to us and to the other aisle. My friend asked him if that was his cart. The gentleman nodded and pointed at it. My friend said, "Stay here, I'll get it for you," and quickly went and got it. The old man said, "Thanks," and went on with the shopping. Enter the woman. As my friend and I returned to our browsing, we saw what I can easily describe as the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life. Just a tad younger than us, long, straight blonde hair, the bluest and whitest eyes that ever existed on a human, tall, slim, extremely well-dressed, classy black heels, the kind of woman you'd think only exists after a few weeks of extensive Photoshop effort. Apparently, she had seen my friend run to get the gentleman's cart because she threw the bluest glance towards him, raised her hand, and, I kid you not, snapped her fingers and pointed towards her own cart. We looked at each other, and my friend actually looked at himself, his camo clothes and leather boots, and looked back at me with a "dude, what?" look on his face, while I was mouthing a silent "wow" back at him. We did nothing. She then took a longer look at us, raised a perfectly done eyebrow, and said with a voice like a steel fist in a velvet glove, "Well?" My friend, always the witty one, said, "I actually am well, thanks." "Aren't you going to get my cart to the register?" she asked, her eyes never leaving his face, obviously making him uncomfortable. "Why?" he said, unsure of how to react. "Isn't that your job?" Years of reading stories on this sub and 500 plus videos on Dark Fluff's YouTube channel came crashing in. She thought we worked there. We often exchanged links and watched and read stories together, so we knew. We also knew that the only way to shut down a situation like this is to out Karen the Karen. From this point on, I was just an observer. He: "I'm sorry, miss, I don't work here." She: "What do you mean?" He: "I don't work here." She: "But he: "I don't work here." And he clapped his hands to emphasize don't. She: "Well, he: "I don't work here," with claps on every word. She puffed, turned around on her heels, and started walking away so fast it looked like those 1,000 sped-up jump scare gifs. He got like 50 feet away, then she stopped and walked back to us. I thought to myself, holy hairy jumping crap balls, here we go again. She said to him in a stern voice that demanded attention, "Listen." I braced for impact. She took a breath and said, "I just want to apologize." My brain gears screamed, begging for some WD-40, like, Karen apologizes? What? I can see my friend is as baffled as a giraffe at a typewriter. He: "There's no need." She: "I'm sorry." He: "Really, miss, it's not." She: "I am sorry." But I am sorry, with claps on every word. I couldn't take it anymore. I burst out laughing. I haven't laughed like that since I can't remember. I fell to my knees, I got tears in my eyes, boogers coming out, the whole shebang. It was the funniest thing ever. Seeing my friend's mouth open and close several times only made it even harder. I then saw that she could hardly contain her own laughter. Finally, the absurdity of the situation hit my friend as well, and he roared his way down to the floor next to me, laughing his butt off. Turned out she wasn't a Karen at all. She just honestly thought we worked in the outdoor aisle in our outdoor clothes and was trying to apologize after the first time he told her that that wasn't the case, but he didn't let her finish a sentence in his effort to out Karen the Karen. What happened after that, you ask? They're expecting their second child this autumn.
Was this supposed to be that good story?
Yeah,
Yes.
this is
That's
awful.
so fake. This is awful. Terrible writing. Terrible writing. But okay.
Boy, Debbie the Downer. Oh my gosh.
Terrible.
Oh, you already got beaten by it. Y'all are some of them.
Y'all, I'm on
No,
your
I'm the
side,
only
Marlon.
one.
I have ever met.
I'm the
I'm
only
on
one
your
that said
side,
it's fake.
Marlon.
No, Tracy has said too.
No, I'm saying I'm on your side, Marlon.
Oh, okay, thank you. If this is the only one that's overly cynical.
There you go. Just me.
That is so
Like
why?
he's proud
So
of it.
if-
Like,
so if she'd
yeah,
have-
this one right here.
so if she'd have just turned around and slapped the crap out of him, yeah, let me go down bad that is. So see that this story is fake and it's made up because it had a happy ending.
No, because this story is fake because it was really poorly written, and it just didn't. Yeah,
The
it was
part
bad.
would help to make it not fake.
It was
Like
bad. It
everybody
was
the
bad.
off.
It was bad. It was bad. Like if you've written stories, you can see how this was not well diagrammed at all. It was like you can see where they were going before they got there, but it just wasn't well done. Like it's just it's cool. I mean, hey, it's cool. You know, some people like comic books. I like comic books. Those have good stories sometimes. Still fake.
Your mind is a dark place to be in sometimes. The only issue
I
that
fell out on the floor, boo-hoo, crying, snot and everything. Yeah, sure he did.
it's a nice story. It was a nice, cute story.
Oh, so now, nice cute story where they were objectifying this woman. They were objectifying this woman. She's younger than they are. They decided that she was less intelligent than she was without ever actually speaking to her. They decided that she was a Karen just because of the way she looked and the fact that she asked a question. So there's a lot wrong with this story. But at the end of the day, the pretty young lady turned out to be my wife and give me a baby.
They explained
2 babies.
all of that.
Oh, 2 babies.
They explained all of that. They explained that we have read care stories where she was talking about
the internet's messing up.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Because the powers that be know that what you're saying is wrong. It's a make-believe story, but it's a good make-believe story to those who choose to believe in it. Why can't that be okay?
I'm coming back. It's okay.
This was pretty bad, Marlon.
It's not going to get.
He's coming back, he said.
And here I am with 4 bars. So no.
Special Agent Johnson, you really took him out.
Nope. No. You have a tendency of listening to a positive story, and you have called more positive stories than negative stories. And it is so sad that you look at the world where you will pay more attention and think it's more realistic for a negative thing to happen than positive. That's not me assuming.
No, that is because you are taking make-believe Reddit stories and extrapolating that to my world view. You just took how I feel about some stories and said that's my world view.
No, you said it. You are the reason why I literally started off with real or not, because you can't even get over the grandma story, which wasn't even the grandma story. The kidnapping grandma story. You have taken every positive story and they done turned to kidnapping, which has evolved into now is a kidnapping ring of grandmamas.
And identity theft.
You take positive stories and just I don't even know the word.
So what's funny here? Funny here is there was a good story just recently that I thought was actually a good story. I think it was only one that I've ever thought was a good story that you put up as a good story. But you said, you said that I have a dark world view. And it's to me, I'm laughing because it's entertaining because I'm the last one out of the whole panel. I'm sorry, Anna's usually kind of with me or ahead of me. But that humanizes the experience of people who are going through things. And I'm not Tracy too, but this is about you right now. You will jump in with the darkest, most ruthless response to whatever is happening. Where I'm sitting here saying, hold on, let's look at this in a 3-dimensional way, right? Or when we were talking about the kidnapping granny, I brought that angle out because she refused to believe the man's own lived experience as he was trying to say it to her, right? So it's like my worldview, I'm actually quite proud of my worldview because my worldview says that this world is a complicated place and we need to slow down and try to understand where people are coming from and then decide how we deal with them. I'm proud of mine.
You say so.
Just, just
I like being a
But this is just
pragmatic
some bad
optimist.
writing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it
And I
was.
don't try
Yeah.
to convince anybody else to go my way. It's just my view.
Mm.
Mafia video of the week. I don't know which one I want to play, and I think I'm going to go ahead and play the first one and then play the other one tomorrow. The first one is mine, because I think I want to get, I ain't gonna say get in it with this, but have a discussion with this about it more. Cause I'm on the fence, basically. I'm on the fence about the reaction. I'm not even going to give you the title about it. I hate that I even named this, because if I, tell you the title, everybody's going to know what's going on, and that kind of spoils the story. But let's go ahead and get into it. Almost 4 minutes, so again, it's kind of long, but it literally needs to play out in its entirety for everybody to understand what's going on. And we're going to head and get into a discussion after the video. Let's get into it.
This happened to me circa 2004. Warning, this story is not funny. Malicious compliance of a different color. Changed my life for the better. Still gives me chills. I'm working at the McDonald's drive-thru, no speaker. There's 2 order windows and a 3rd pickup window. Charles is working window 1. I'm working window 2. Charles is black, ripped, tall, huge, has prison tats all down his arms. Somewhere around 2 ounces of fat on his body. Picture Terry Crews with darker skin and black tats to the wrists. Charles is equal parts charming, soft-spoken, humble, and ambitious. He knew where he'd been and was determined to change his life. Probably one of the best men I'll have ever met. Enter green minivan. We'd both taken orders at the same time and mine was long gone. Charles's order was taking forever. Probably 4 minutes just taking the order before payment. I came over to check on Charles. Before I get close, I notice he's blocking the frame of the window so I can't hear anything. It's an awkward position for him and blatantly obvious. He moves his hand out to me out of sight of the van and gives me the stop sign. Back off. I got it. Time passes. The manager on duty comes out to check the issue. He waves her off. She protests. I tell her to wait and see. Something is deeply wrong. Suddenly, Charles points the van down to the other window and leaps into action. He slams the window, shoves past us without a word, and races to the 3rd window. The manager and I look at each other, check for other cars. There were none. Then follow at a distance. The manager had been running the order, but Charles took over and personally handled every part of the order with the speed of a madman and the quality of a 5-star restaurant. He grabs a new batch of fries. He has the cook triple check each burger. He breaks a cardinal rule of the store and shows the van all the kids' meals toys we have for personal preference. Drinks and condiments are handed out, and Charles gives them a genuine smile and enthusiastically thanks them for being customers. Have a great night, we'll see you soon. Charles waits until they're out of sight before returning from the window and, visibly shaken, walks back to his register. The manager starts to fuss about an explanation she's owed, but Charles just says he can't yet. His legendary Zen calm is severely damaged. After a few minutes to get a drink, wipe the sweat off his face and compose himself, he opens up. The van had rolled up. Charles had greeted them with the usual, "Welcome to McDonald's. What can I get for you this evening?" and his winning smile. The white father driving waits for Charles to finish and with a loud sneer had turned to his wife and for all to hear said, "You order, hun. I don't talk to N-words." The wife turns to the 2 young kids, probably 8 and 10, impressionable, learning, watching. They'd locked eyes on Charles. They'd seen his tats. They'd listened to the hateful otherizing of those people from birth. Charles decided that he had it within him to reach for something better. Father be damned, he's long gone. Charles decided that he had a message for those boys. The wife patiently and sheepishly took the excruciatingly and needlessly complicated order from the father, and then had to speak past him to Charles. Same for the kids. Light mustard, 3 pickles, etc. Perfectionism. Charles reached down inside himself for something that neither I nor the manager possessed, and he gave the wife a genuine smile as he whipped out the order. The father knew he had been served a dish he thought impossible to serve. It was served with kindness and compassion and a compliance that defied everything he told them about those people. The kids both waved to Charles from the back of the van as their father pulled away. They liked their new friend.
I'm on 2 scales of this. And I promise I'll throw it at this and I'll throw it to everybody else. The one part of me understands exactly what the guy was doing. Like, I want to cut the tether between the father and the kids in the back to show you that I'm not what your father has been telling you, or that dripping the poison in the ear all these years about Black people. I want to show you that what he's been saying is not true about us. That's one thing. The other thing is I'm kind of pissed off about it because it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt, going by this story, it's the fucking hurdles that we got to jump through to do that. And that's what kind of pisses me off. And I can't get past that. That you would put astronomical obstacles in a Black man's way, and we have to succeed on the first try to prove you're an asshole. It bothers me so much. This father knew what he was doing from the beginning. This, you know, about old saying, you know, the laminated paper that already has the information and how you're going to react to certain things. He already knew what he was going to say if he comes up against a Black person, is to look to his wife and go, I don't talk to them people. I just don't know. I know this guy is pretty much flat out, and I hate to say it for him, but he pretty much probably had a rough life, and this is his chance to have a better life. And he knows he had to go through some crap to get a better life, and he just could not lose his job. I get what he's going through. I understand what he's going through. That he has to prove that obstacles and circumstances cannot derail his future, because this is not going to be the first time and this is not going to be the last time, and he's going to have to work 10 times, not only because of his skin color, but because of maybe where he's come from. Maybe there was a jail sentence or whatever going through, maybe his appearance, whatever it is. But I'm sorry to everybody who has to listen to this. I get so pissed off that he has to do it. To everybody keep saying that racism is not real, I give you a grand hearty fuck you. And we have proven time and time again that it's happening. And you keep coming up with excuses after excuses after excuses of why it's not. Where you get enjoyment out of watching us jump through hoops to prove your bullshit. This is the end of when I say fuck you. Diaz, go ahead. I have nothing else to add to what I'm saying.
You good, man. So here's the thing I would say with all of this. First thing to do, first, folks, talking to my brothers and sisters out there, you got to take away their power. In a way, what this young man did, while he may think what he was doing was showing that I am more than you think of me, he was actually reinforcing the wrong thing, in my opinion. Because to someone who has already decided that you are beneath them, you will never raise their estimation of you in their eyes. That's not going to happen. So you getting the order done perfectly and blah blah blah. Here's the disconnect. This person already thinks that you're beneath them because of your existence. Then they think you're beneath them because you have to serve them their food. You're at McDonald's. You're a grown man working at McDonald's. They've already lowered their estimation of you to a point there ain't nothing you can do to improve it. Now, you could become emotionally charged and go to battle with this person, which would have actually reinforced the ignorance that he is trying to project onto you. That so I'm glad you didn't do that. But to take the power from this man, what you should have done, and you can deal with your manager later, is when this person said this, you say, excuse me one moment. Hey, I need you to come take this order because I cannot serve this person. And then walk away. And then they can come to you later and ask what your problem is and why you abandoned your place. And you can deal with that then. Because what's going to happen is the person in the car will never fess up to what happened anyway, nor will it even be asked. So it will only be your word against theirs anyway. So you'll probably get talked to or what have you, but you'll explain this person in the car referred to me thusly. And instead of me providing bad service or getting into an altercation with someone, I felt it better to have someone else come and take my spot. And that would have been it. Done. That's what you should have done. Take away their power. But by you showing them or attempting to show them that I can put all this together, and even though you made me count the jelly beans in the jar, and even though you were trying to make me read the Declaration of Independence backwards, I'm able to do those things. See? Ha. What did you really achieve? This man is still going to go back and continue to download his hateful ideology onto his children. These children are still going to be raised in an environment that reinforces it. There is nothing about this one interaction that's going to really stick with these children, most likely, because it was, at the end of the day, getting some food from McDonald's. And what I have heard from a number, not directly, because I don't talk to such people, but what I have heard from a couple of white men who have been raised in those environments, the N-word is almost just like any other curse word to them. That's how often they hear it. So they don't even internalize it the same way. So that's just their father cursing, as far as they're concerned. Now, as they get older, they will reduce their estimation of you because of your color of your skin, because they add it all up, and there you go. But the word itself doesn't carry as much weight to them. So you still haven't done anything. Best thing he could have done, excuse himself from the situation, have somebody else serve these people, and then go right back to take the next call. But I do want people to get to the point. This is super important to y'all. Please, 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 brothers and sisters, you have got to get to the point where you or uncenter anything they think of you, good or bad, compliments or insults. If you uncenter their opinion of you, they're just like any other person who's walking around you. You mean no more to me than this person over here. And you realize that that is your baseline, then you'll be less prone to be triggered emotionally into reacting in such a way that doesn't work for you tactically. And I'm done.
All right, Anna.
Mm-hmm. Well, just as I hate to hear the R word, I hate to hear of anyone who would use a word that just is meant to devoid humanity. And I didn't understand why I was getting a little like, wait, why would you jump through those hoops? Even if it was for the kids, the odds are against you in this case. I hope those kids get a wake-up call somewhere. But I can't imagine.
This all comes from generations of training. We've been socially trained to be prepared to assert our humanity in the face of inhumanity. But we have not been socially trained to actually fight back. And what I am saying is there are many ways to fight back. There's ways you go right at it, and there's ways you go around it, and there's ways you go under it, right? There's a lot of ways to get to the objective. But the time of appeasing someone by trying to prove to them that you are not what they say you are, those days are behind us. And I need us to get them behind us. And what ends up upsetting us, what ends up triggering us, is that we still are holding on to this thing that says they should not think of me this way.
Yeah.
How dare they treat me like this? We got to get past that part. You can't continue to look at a duck and to wonder why it's not an eagle. You can't do that. It is what it is. You pay attention to what it is displaying to you, what characteristics it is presenting to you, and define the thing by its actions. Having done so, you can then tell a person who is mistaken and ignorant from a person who is intentional and hateful. And you can look at both of these people and say at the exact same time that no matter what they think of you, it is irrelevant. I do not need your approval. I do not need you to like me. I do not need you to do any of those things. One of the things that Stokely Carmichael said in his younger days, he was saying that these laws that we talk about, they were not passed for black people. They were passed for white people. I always knew I was a human being. You needed laws to tell you I was a human being. I always knew I was a child of God. You needed laws to tell you I was a child of God. I always knew that to be a citizen of the United States means I should be able to vote. You needed laws to say the otherwise. I always knew that I had the right to be educated. You needed laws to say that I wasn't to be obstructed in being educated. All this stuff is about white folks. And so long as we as the black community continue to wrestle against what we feel it should be versus what we know it to be, we will have to first fight battles inside before we can fight the battle that's in front of us. I'm saying settle the battle that's inside of you. Settle that. Get that behind you so that you can just fight what's in front of you. Because you see, in order for us to inhabit this world that we all say we want, in order for us to inhabit this world that we claim with our mouths, but we don't back up with our actions, in order to inhabit that world, you have to do some things. See, but we don't want to do those things because those things are messy and they're painful and they're complicated. But there have been people who have done the things in the past who just keep doing this like roller coaster thing. Settle it for yourselves, brothers and sisters. You are not better and you are not worse than anyone else. This is not a matter of being equal or not equal. You were formed equal at birth. You were born with every right from birth. They were taken from you starting at birth. Now think about who is taking those things from you and take back your power. Is it your family that is saying that you are less than because you're a woman? Because you dared to be born a girl? Take your power back. Is it society that says because you're a black man, you have these certain traits just because of who you are? Take your power back from them. And until you do that, you will be led around by the nose by your emotions, ready to fight everybody or go sit in a corner and cry. Take your power back.
All right, Tracy, final line.
There's nothing for me to say. I'll say this to the I don't want to say the worker. He better than me because I got this. As saved as I try to live, I can get real petty. I can get real petty real quick. In him, I want to say I would have did what they said. Hey, look, I can't serve this person. You take over. That's what I should do. But what Tracy wants to do, Tracy want to take this up to the 10th level. And it's hard to hold that emotion back because some people know how to take you there. They know just what button to push. That man knew what he was doing when he called that man that word. He was pushing him. He was pushing him to see how far he would go, how angry he would get. His response, again, way better than what Tracy would have did. Christian Tracy, yes. That's probably what I would have did. That's what I said. When somebody said you don't hit them back, I know that's hard. But Tracy would have ate his food and said, "No, you paying for this. You ordered it." Never said, I get real petty. That's a petty thing to do. His reaction, although it's commendable, he didn't go oops upside his head and get a charge and go back to prison. was commendable that he didn't use violence. I still got to agree with these. In essence, is you can't make everybody like you. There are going to be people that dislike black people because they're black. It's a part of life. We can't teach our children that everybody's gonna like you. You're always gonna be a winner. No, some there are idiots out in these streets. I don't like to say there are stupid people. I hate to use the word stupid, but that's what racism technically is. That man in that car knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he did. He knew the word that he was using. He said it loud enough so he could hear it because he wanted a reaction. Props to the man for not giving him a reaction, but I'm not serving you. Now, somebody take care of him because if I do it, I'm gonna be right back to that prison that I just left, and he's
See,
not worth it.
I'm gonna tell you what somebody told me when I was a young teen. I don't know how old I was, but somebody told me this, and it's been proven over the years. A white boy will take a ass whooping from you just to see you go to jail.
Yep.
So you got to understand if you are, and this man, this brother just probably was he's found a center and he's found a peaceful thing. But like what Parker was asking, like working in drive-through, blah blah blah. Same about that. This is all about a power dynamic. But you were saying the power dynamic based on the job situation. I'm saying this is a power dynamic of that white man almost certainly was no match for what he perceived this black man to be. Considering how he was described, he's a physically imposing person. He's not some little small dude. Okay? But he felt empowered to say that within earshot. And that, brothers and sisters are talking to you. That must give you pause.
Yep.
Because if someone weaker than you will bait you in such a way, you reacting out of your emotions can cost you a whole lot more than your freedom.
Yep. That's what he
Because
wanted.
just think about what a person think about the frame of mind a person has to be in to go up against someone that they know they are physically outmatched against. So now what? You react? You run out that door to stand up for yourself? And you're shot in the parking lot. Or you're not shot. And you pull this man out the car. You beat him in front of his wife and his children. Lose-lose. So much better, and it's hard. I'm not saying this is easy. But you must always remember, you never go up against somebody who has less to lose than you do. Never, ever, ever. Never worth it. You're trying not to go back. He's trying to set you back. You decide what's best for you. He chose one path. His path is acceptable. I'm saying the better response would have been what I said. But his path is acceptable. It's unfortunate, but it's acceptable. Anything short of him engaging with this person on that level.
Because the
Now,
feeling of
in the streets, though, that's different.
Yeah,
in the streets, I'd have said beat him to sleep. But now you got to make sure ain't no witnesses and you can get away because otherwise they're gonna lock your ass up. So
yeah, you taking that chance,
right? So the better way to look at it is avoid conflict when you can. Remember what it is that you're after, and keep it moving.
It's always better to walk away from violence. In general,
I
know you're going to disagree. I know you're going to disagree with me, but I'm telling you what I believe. I'm telling you what I believe and what I try to stand on and what I try to tell, the children, the 3 children that will listen to me. It is better to do what this man did. Well, not the serving and perfection, because basically I'm not going to serve you. It's just not going to happen. I've had that situation on the phones. I had a man say, "Oh, I can tell you're black and stupid." I had because they listen to calls, and I knew my call was being listened to. Um, because she was sitting right next to me. I'm like, I'm not taking this. I'm not gonna do it because I know I'm gonna say something that's gonna get me walked out, and I got bills to pay, and this man ain't worth me not paying my bills. He took that course, which that's the correct thing. Don't engage in violence because he gonna be the one that's paying for it. He's the one that's gonna go to jail. He's the one that's gonna get arrested. He's the one that's gonna lose his job. Nothing is going to happen to that man, even if he beat the snot out of him. Now, those kids are going to think, well, every black man is like this. Look what they did to my father. So you got to take, I'll say this, I'd rather be a scared chicken than a dead duck.
In some cases. That's why you got to choose your ground. There are some things worth dying for. I truly believe it. There's going, and a lot of that comes into context, timing, and a whole lot of other things. But that wouldn't have been it. That right there.
He was purposely trying to bait him. Why would you? That's like me going to, I have a Mexican restaurant down the street to me. And I'm going to just go in there and say the most racist thing that I can say against people from Mexico. I don't know what that happens to be, but whatever it is. I know what I'm doing when I walk in there.
That's kind of different because that's a different type of racism. This guy.
No, racism is racism, right?
Well,
no, it ain't.
It is, but it isn't. And I'm gonna tell you using what you just said.
Is it because I'm black?
No. Oh, see, racism has a power component.
What?
Because some people say black people can't be racist.
No,
they kind of can't be, but they can be bigoted and a bunch of other horrible things.
What this guy did was he had a response to a black person in a situation. That's different than a racist who has to find a racist situation to be in, which is what you're saying. Like, I feel like I have to be racist. So I'm going to go to a Mexican restaurant where I know I'm racist against Latinos, and I'm just going to be racist.
Or I could be racist if I go to Walmart and then I'm listening to the couple behind me speak Spanish, and then I turn around, won't you speak English?
Well, that's still a situation.
That's not racist either, though.
That is racist.
That's kind of racist.
Me asking them to speak English.
It's a thin line.
It's a thin line.
No, it's a thin line. It's a thin line. Racist is also, it's bigotry plus power. Right? There is nothing, generally speaking. Now, if you were in a power position, it'd be a little different. But you can't affect their whole world because you turn around and said a bigoted thing to them. Now, they got every reason to react to you however they choose to react to you because what you said was completely out of pocket. But you cannot affect their job situation. You can't hire or fire them. You know what I'm saying? Worst thing you do is call the police. But that could end up making you look stupid because then the police come and these people are legal citizens. They just happen to be speaking Spanish around your ignorant ass. You know what I'm saying? So it's not the same.
There's Spanish. The easier solution would be for me, or any American, to learn another language.
No. The easier solution is to recognize they speak in Spanish and it's none of your business.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
Or when you go to hair shops. Now, this one happens all the time. When I go to hair shops, the people who work there are not black because I've been on a mission. I'm going to find a black beauty supply house. I'm going to do it. I'm going to find one.
Oh, you talking about supply or the stylist?
No, not the stylist. I always go to a black stylist. But I'm talking about like when I get hairspray or shampoo or whatever.
Okay.
You don't have to go to them, but okay.
Yeah, because I couldn't find the places near to me because I don't like to drive long distances. They aren't owned by black people.
Okay.
They just are not. I got accused of being racist because I asked the group, I said, hey, tell me a black-owned beauty supply place. Because I believe in supporting black businesses. I got accused by a white person saying that I was racist. Because
So
I should
first
just want to
thing,
support a small business.
Oh,
first thing for the trolls out there, you're gonna love this one. You can't no white person tell me I'm racist. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Sorry, folks. I'm not listening to your
I mean,
definition.
I didn't respond, but she literally said that's racist, and I'm like, what?
but
I'm just stuck on the fact that any white person, and not all of y'all, but any white person that comes up to me and go, I want to support a black business. Well, you racist. So I have been supporting white companies damn near since the day I was born.
But see, when you say it that way, that is it's justifiably bigoted, but it's still bigoted, right? Because you're justifying it because of what it's not. You know what I'm saying? But you can still say, like, if somebody says, okay, look, I'm looking for a black business because I want to support black business, right? And they say, that's racist. Okay. No, it's not, because there's a difference between restorative justice and discrimination. See what I'm saying? So negative discrimination, right? Because that's where the systemic racism video, he kind of touched on that a little bit. See, restorative justice says sometimes you have to do positive discrimination in order to help even the scales so that people can now be on a more equal playing field, right? Positive discrimination says this group was negatively discriminated against, so now we must put in certain steps, which would be positive discrimination, to target that group to raise them up because of documented negative discrimination. That's not racist.
See, I should have came back with that answer, but my answer was like, well,
your answer's fine.
No, my answer was straight up ignorant, because I was like, okay, you do know black people have the most unique hair on the entire planet, right? You know that.
No, we don't.
I'm telling you what my response was. I'm not here to argue about my response. I'm here to tell you what my response was. I said, look,
fair enough.
You look at all other cultures, mostly every other culture has straight hair by birth. Their hair is just straight. Except for, a few exceptions here or there. Mostly black people's hair is coarse. So why wouldn't I want to go to a place that knows me because I'm like them, they're like me? That just makes sense to me. That was my answer. I didn't even think about your
I feel you. But my long explanation is only one that I'm giving in this platform. See, because the other thing that's super important to understand that I'm trying to convey out here is that this person who calls you racist is not entitled to an explanation. You don't owe them one, right? So when they say, "Well, you're racist because you want to go to a black-owned business," hey, you entitled to think whatever the hell you want. It ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm going about my business. I'm not going to sit here and give you a history lesson, right?
I'm going to sit on black businesses,
right? But for us, or for the person internally to process, is what I'm trying to get at, right? So just like the dialogue that needs to be happening inside of our heads is, okay, well, let's look at this in a little bit more dispassionate way. If you go to a carniceria, who owns the carniceria? Probably either Mexican or Salvadorian is usually the ones I run into, but some Latin community owns the carniceria. And when you go in that store, they have a lot of products that you don't find in Publix and Kroger. You find some of the products there, but you don't find all the same products. Some of the products are in Spanish, or almost all the products are in Spanish, with some English subtitling and things like that. Is that racist? That they have a grocery store that caters to their preferred language and plays music that fits their culture and mirrors customs Like when you go to the meat counter, there's a way that they do the interactions with you to give you the meat that you're looking for. Is that racist? I don't think so. If I go over to, in my area, it's called Pleasant Hill, but you go over to Pleasant Hill where a lot of the Korean businesses are and the Vietnamese businesses are, you go over there, they got even the street signs are in their native language. Is that racist? If you go inside their establishments, ain't no black folks working in there. Probably ain't no white folks working in there. Is that racist? I don't think it is. So for some reason, you go to their grocery stores, which have some great food, but you go to their grocery stores. I went in there during COVID trying to get some toilet tissue and ended up buying like some seafood and stuff while I was in there. But
Be so specific.
huh?
I said I knew you was gonna start going Pacific.
But I'm just saying I went in there, but when I asked for help from one of the people who worked there, now this could be my assumption, because Buddy looked like he speak English just fine. But when I tried to speak to him, he was like, whatever, he mumbled out like can't speak English, right? And everybody was looking at me while I'm in it. But anyway, whatever. I don't consider that to be racist. Even if he had racist intent towards me, I don't consider it to be racist. He is within his culture in a space that's defined for his culture, but everybody's welcome to come shop. But that doesn't mean they're going to cater to you because you're different in their space. So I just need us to stop being the only group that feels some kind of way about trying to do business with our own people.
I don't. I'm telling you, I don't.
Now, I'm not talking about you, Tracy. You brought it up. I'm talking about us. I'm trying to help us get into a better headspace where we don't feel guilty for having to say, I'm looking for a black business or something like that. Nobody else feels bad about it. So that's how you build community.
And I've been to some of those stores. They're really nice. Good meat.
Yes.
Nice
Great
prices.
service.
I'm like, this is way cheaper. Let
What?
me get some more of this.
And then the other thing, and this is only because like we have this thing going on right now, where some companies are resisting or fighting back against DEI and what's the other one? DEI and something else. Basically, anything that involves acknowledging other cultures, but the dominant white culture. And people are getting mad right now, and they're like, "How dare they?" And they're trying to get rid of the. Okay, look, here's some things. I'm not telling you to quit your job. Okay, you got bills to pay, you got a family to take care of. Do the things you need to do. But when it comes to where you spend your money, there are no shortage of businesses that will take your business and your money, no matter what you look like or who you are.
They sure will.
Do business with them. Why are you insisting in the year of 2024 that somebody cater to you? I'll tell you why. Because we haven't built our own. We rely on people not like us to hire us. We rely on people not like us to feed us, not like us to shelter us, not like us to educate us. Now, there's nothing wrong with working within that framework, but you also need your own. And you will find that Black unemployment will go down the more you have Black employers who can employ. You will find food scarcity will go down the more you have Black businesses that can feed.
Yep.
And now we can go everywhere we want to.
Yep. I'm glad you said that because Indianapolis finally, after seems like my entire life, now has a Black-owned grocery store.
But here's going to be the trick.
I've been waiting for that since I was a little child. I'm like, okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's finally there.
But here's the trick, Tracy. And this is super important. I'm sorry, Mom, I'm doing it again. Here's the trick. You finally have a Black grocer. What it's going to take is not just the Black community going there. That's the first step. But also recognizing that they are in business to take care of people. So they need to be just as easy to shop for white people and Latino people and everybody else.
Absolutely.
You can cater to black people. Like my business caters to black people, but I also take care of all people. I don't care what your ethnicity is, your gender, your ability, your disability. I don't care. I love people and I want to help people. But the atmosphere is going to reflect black because I am, right? So that's a super important thing. And then the other thing is there is a shortage of knowledge or education in the American economy, period. So that if you now have a black grocer, understand that they do not have a black supplier, they do not have a black supply
Actually, they
chain.
do. They actually do use black suppliers.
Then they're not going to have the full range that the Kroger going to
Oh
have up
no,
the street.
they not
So
Kroger, but they real close.
so that's what I'm getting at. When you have something that is trying to grow, we have to be willing to spend money there, even though we can do the same thing up the street for $20 less.
Yep, that's true. I
That's
agree
going
with
to
you.
be that's going to be the test because until they can grow to where they have multiple stores, so now they can play in margins. There's going to be price discrepancies, and oftentimes that's what gets in the way of things. That's one of the things I love about the various Latin cultures, and I love about various Asian cultures. They will not take anything from anyone outside of that community until it gets to the point they have gone through everyone they can go to within
Yeah.
their community. They'll pay more to keep each other in business before they'll go try to save $1 somewhere else.
Yep, I agree with you. But they do use this specific store because that was one of my questions. I'm like, now if they just using white suppliers, that I'm not gonna sit here and go to there. I could open up a convenience store, but they actually do. Now they don't have the selection Kroger or the Walmart that was there to close down after 2 years when the government gave them all that money to go there. But that's a whole nother story.
Can you put Learn Life's statement back up?
I can't because it's almost going on 3 hours. I
Okay, then
really
no.
But there's a good it's a discussion that needs to be had. We can't build black wealth, being this is
you're
Black History Month.
right. We can't build successful businesses only within the
She said
black
we
community.
can't.
We need dollars from all communities.
Yeah, but we can start with our own.
So here's where I disagree. I get where we're saying so you
Yeah.
can't grow past a particular scale, but you absolutely can. Um, it's just going to take a lot of effort and support from said communities because we already do it. Ain't no white money coming into the black church,
Thank you for real though.
right? So we can, but you have to be okay with being small until it's time to be bigger, and that is contrary to the overwhelming American ethos. Now we're all trying to get big as fast as we can, but if you're okay with being small until it's time to get bigger, you can do it.
Just to piggyback on what Theus has said, and then we got to move on. Just look at this channel right here. I could have been like every other channel on subjects like this. Be disruptive, be toxic, accusative. You know the channels I'm talking about. And I'm pretty sure that I would have grown tenfold because I know there's probably at that point an audience already like that's just ready and willing to subscribe to people like that, to subscribe to channels like that. I apologize. I don't want to be that channel. If I have to be small for the next fucking 10 years, so be it. I'm fine with that. I really am. But you're not ever going to look through any of our videos and say, with good conscience, with being a good actor, and say they're wrong. Now, our opinions may differ from you, and I get that. Like me and Thea disagree on a lot of things. And this is how the show has always been. we always, and I've said this before the show, we always come to the same conclusion. We just differ on the path. Businesses have to realize that, yeah, you need to suck it up that you're going to be small for a minute. Or you can sell out. No, this, because let me finish, because I don't even want to get into the whole sell it out and that. No. Let's just use sell out on face value. And then tomorrow, for the love of God, we can go into all the nooks and crannies of the word sell out. So you can sell out and be toxic and be like everybody else, which is something I've said before. So you want an example of what I'm saying is what I said before. You really just want a station where a bunch of Negroes come on here and tell you that all Negroes is wrong and the white people was right all along. I guarantee you I'll get a whole bunch of new subscribers. I will get a whole bunch of subscribers.
Man, you get a spot on Fox for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That ain't finna happen here. I'd rather be small for the next 15, 20 years. I'd rather come on this station with 300 and whatever it is that I got right now and tell you, well, this is our last show and I'm retiring and I'm handing it over to the next generation before I do anything like that. And I'm glad that everybody's quiet because
You told us to.
Of the week. If you're a barber, maybe you can have a black business for black people, but not if you fix cars or if you're a plumber or a number of other jobs. Making ends meet is different than successful.
You're mixing a lot of terms in there, though. So
you literally took three things. So let me say this: if you're a barber, maybe you have a black business for black people. Yes and no. Because if you are a black barber and you're in a predominantly black neighborhood, then yeah, you're literally going to have black clientele. It's a fixed thing. Do you have white customers that come in? Yeah, of course.
maybe.
But if your majority of your clientele is black, if you are fixing cars, if you're a plumber, there's a lot of other jobs. Yes. And even if you were to be a black plumber who has their own black plumbing company, and if you was a black, what was the other one?
Barber.
Mechanic.
No,
mechanic. You would fix mechanics for different clientele. That still doesn't mean that you're not a black owned company. And I think
not only that, but
his thing is black owned.
Yeah, like that's what oftentimes gets so twisted up. So black owned doesn't mean black exclusive, but we were talking a moment ago, which is where this comment I believe is coming from. We were talking about a black business that's doing business with black people. So because that was part of what was raised as a statement. But is it okay? So you're a black mechanic who only has black clientele. There's two ways to get to that. One is you're stationed in a place where only black folks live. So those are the people who come to you. Because most mechanics run off of like a network of friends and associates and things like that. But there's also another way to get there. Do the white people bring their car to you?
Yeah.
Right? So, see, we'd have to close our minds and pretend like reality isn't reality to say that black people will take their car to whomever can fix their car. generally speaking, white people will take their car to a white person who can fix their car, generally speaking, because they have more options. There's more out there, right? You go to the local dealership to get your car fixed. Odds are that's owned by a white person, or even a collision center, or things like. There's a lot of options. So when you start the game owning everything, then you become normative. You're not called a white owned business because you're just a business. But when you're starting late in the game
Yep.
and trying to catch up in a manner of speaking, then you become a black owned business. You become a women owned business. You become a Latino owned business. See, that gets put on as an add on. See, only white owned business, because that's not even like a thing, right? It's normative, right?
No,
That's
that's not.
not
No, no,
true.
that's not
That's
true.
not
No,
true.
I
But
don't.
it might be true for you, and it's definitely true for me where I live. I don't even care. I go online and look for reviews, and I take my car to, and I'm a heavily populated area and stuff like that. But how many shops do I drive by before I get there? I don't even know who owns them or nothing. I don't know,
Hey,
right?
I'll tell.
But there are places that are based on where they're situated. Just what it
Okay,
is.
I'm sorry. Let me do this again. Just for my sake, not my sake. Just for me to actually, you know, fix all of this. Ladies and gentlemen, Foxy's videos of the week. I literally did that because I know what it's going to take to chop all of this up. But let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start off with this video, and I'm going to throw it to Tracy.
Okay. Gotta have something to do with
Tracy,
church.
yes, it does. Yes, it
I guess I'm like, gotta have something to do with church.
does. It does. Tracy, I know what I have been brought up on. I have seen. I get it. I truly get it. And you will understand when I say the Holy Spirit will hit you from anywhere. Doesn't matter where you're at.
That's right.
I already titled this for you. Tracy, come on, dog.
Well, I got a couple thoughts on this one.
Come on, man.
To the people that always say wedding ceremonies are like worship, there you go. You now got that. I am never one to judge anybody that is under the influence of the Holy Spirit. That is not my job. That is not my calling. I do not have that. However, there is a little thing called discernment that I am called to have. And some of that is making me wonder now why I realized that if I ever went down the aisle to get married, I probably would do a shout. Because I'm literally like, hey, I'm 50 years old, first time married. Okay. Um, it could happen. It's very possible that could have been their reaction. I'm not here to knock their reaction. I'm not quite sure I understand. Well, yeah, I do understand it. Um, but I'll say no. I don't even want to say there's a time and place for everything because that makes it seem like I'm discrediting what's in their hearts because I don't know those people. But I'll say this, what you said is absolutely true. I could literally be driving in my car and I got to pull over because I'm overcome. I mean, I'm just like, wait a minute. I got to sit down and take a step back. It's happened to me when I was at work, when I go to sleep. Never on this show, but I had an incident on my podcast where I was like, wait a minute, let me take a step back because I knew where I was heading towards. So I'm not going to knock what they're doing. I'm not going to criticize it. I'm not going to say anything. But I will say this, let everything that have breath praise the Lord. That's what I will say. And Theus, I know you got something to say because you're just looking like I'm.
I, look,
Wow, here pulled on his glasses. Really?
I don't know. I don't know what's in their heart. I don't care. But I know choreograph when I see it. I know planned when I see it, and that was planned, practiced, and choreographed. So, but that's their day. That's how they wanted to do their send off in their ceremony. That's great. I just always find it interesting when people can catch the Holy Ghost on demand. I just find that quite interesting. So I don't know. I need some of them people. I'm trying to figure out why the Holy Ghost seem to find a way. Because where 2 or 3 are gathered, there he be in the midst. So I'm just trying to figure out why this Holy Ghost can't find his happy ass way into the church, into the Congress, where he can't show up in the police department. Why he can't show up at the hospital? So
I've actually
I've seen
seen
the
a couple of
hospital.
police officers. I'm like, wait a minute, sir, you got a gun. Let me step over here. I'm gonna step over here and let you do
that's
you.
discernment. That's discernment. That's a gift. And that's also being aware. I'm with you there. My point is different. I've been in many hospitals. I've been in many places. And it could just be my bad timing. But I ain't
Sure.
seen nobody break out into the hallelujah dance in none of them places.
I've seen it in the
I've
hospital.
I've seen it.
no, wait. Okay, yeah, you see family members, but that's a different level of thing. But so maybe we won't go there because hospital full of sick people and they ain't all getting well. But
Right.
all I'm saying is with this ceremony thing that they showed, this is what they chose to do. And I hope they have a tremendously happy and fruitful union and marriage.
Okay.
I knew it had something to do with church. When you said church, I'm like, okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's unfair. We should ask her questions that ain't just that.
Okay. Fine.
But she get mad at me when I talk about politics.
That's because your opinions be wrong.
Fair enough.
All right. So to bring
But
Anna
no,
back.
but no, I've always joked with you guys that somehow y'all think I'm the representation, and I'm so far away from where he wants me to be. I'm like, nah, I got this to do, this to do, this to do, this to do. I'm so far away. But I'll tell you what, there have literally been times I have been literally driving, and I'll hear a song because I listen to gospel music when I'm driving. When my radio was working, that's the station that I had it on. I hear the song. Oh, I'm in. I'm in. It don't take
I've had
me.
songs like that.
I'm not down any of that. I'm saying because there's power, wonder working power in the name
I've been
of the
on
Lamb.
several podcasts where I'm just like, wait a minute, let me take this there.
Yeah. Here's my thing is this is that I don't like it when things are done conveniently. And that's where like sometimes I'm talking to some of my minister friends and family that I say is like it's just way too convenient that It shows up in nice convenient settings that we control and we can have, secure. But over here where the work needs to be done, you ain't doing all that. But
But
that's okay. That's okay. That's a difference between my thing. Like me, like anybody's welcome to push back against me on my faith. And if you're ever wondering what is theist's faith, it is exactly what I say, do, and act upon. All of it's fair game. All of it. Because that's my faith. So I'm only going to hold you to what you claim to be your faith. And if you're not living up to what you claim, I'm going to call you on it. And if I'm not living up to what I claim, it's fair enough to call me on it.
well, I've already told you, I try my best, and I fall.
We
But
all
keep
fall,
this.
we all fall short to the glory of God.
Yeah. No, everybody's like filthy rags and all that good stuff. But all I'm saying is that's cool. And this ain't about you, Tracy. This is about all of us out here. Can't use it as cop outs. Can't use it as escape clauses all the time.
No, I
When we
never.
sit there and say, "Oh, I'm gonna take off my Holy Ghost," or "This is my prior self," or "This is this, that, and the third," you're putting all these little ipsos and provisos to allow you to say something that is contrary to what you claim to believe.
Yep.
So then you've given yourself leave, or at least you think you did, leave from your belief system to go and engage in something that you feel is contrary, knowingly doing it. See, if you do it on mistake, that is, I'm not a perfect person. But if you set it up to then violate it, that's intentional.
Good night, Ellen.
Good night, Ella. You're not going to get any
Good night.
arguments out of me because the same Holy Spirit that will cause you to speak in tongues will also cause you to apologize to somebody that you've wronged. Will also cause you to care about your neighbor. You can't speak in tongues and then cuss somebody out. It don't work like that.
I don't know. I think it does.
You
Just
can't
own it.
speak in tongues and then cuss somebody out. You
Why
can't.
not?
Bitter
Why
and
not?
sweet, bitter and sweet cannot come out of the same mouth.
I'd rather you be hot or cold because the
No,
meal,
you're not
whatever,
going.
spit you out type thing. But whatever,
No,
you can be. You
bitter,
just said it. You
bitter and
literally
sweet.
just said it.
Bitter and sweet should not come out of the same mouth. I'm not
They
saying.
shouldn't. But then when you say we're all not perfect, therefore it's in there because you're always doing the battle of the flesh and the spirit, right? So there's these things you can be these things. My problem is not the confliction of our behaviors and all that. My problem is when we don't own it or when we purposely excuse ourselves to conveniently violate. That's why I have a problem with people. When you can turn it on and turn it off on purpose and on demand, now I'm challenging what you say you believe in. Now, if you violate what you say you believe in and you didn't like have a preface or, or have a plan to do it, that's different. That's human. You're gonna do that, man. You're gonna do that. But you're not gonna sit here and tell me that, pardon me while I do this thing and then go do it. No, that ain't what you said your face was, man.
All right, y'all. I got to move on, and I got to keep Anna into this. So I'm going to give this next segment to Anna.
And give it to Thiz because he took my segment.
Y'all have no segments.
You said you get
You literally have no segments at all.
I'll take your segment. You said what you said first.
Stop. I'm going to give this one to Anna. And this has nothing to do with Anna. This literally is me trying to keep Anna involved in it before we leave out of here. But it has nothing to do with Anna. It's not a shot at Anna. This is not an Anna thing. I just want to keep her involved. But I admire people like this because I have been living 2 years now, living this thing where you need to learn how to shoot your shot.
Pray Praise the Lord, brother. Handsome. Wow. God knew. With our brief conversation in church, excuse me, and then I saw you at altar call, pouring out, worshiping. I just thought, maybe he could use somebody to talk to. And so here's my number if you ever want to discuss Leviticus or Adam and Eve, Yeah. That's how you was at worship today, and it was cute. Yep. Sister Whitney. Brother in Christ. All right.
I give this to Tracy.
She should. Okay, so since she gave to me, I say, girl, about time. I am so sick. One of the teachers that makes me sick. Women shouldn't ask men out. I don't know who came up with this bad, stupid teaching. I don't understand who thought of it. I think they're basing it off of he defines a wife as finds a good thing. But she said, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot. Girl, that's right. Do you. More women need to do this. Because how you supposed to know if he feels the same way about you if you don't say nothing? If he says, hey, I ain't interested, then you know. But you have not because you ask not. I say shoot your shot, girl. That's how you shoot it. Now, I don't know who's discussing the book of Leviticus, but she could have said the Psalms or any of the Gospels. But that's how
Leviticus.
Leviticus is not one of the Gospels. It's in the Pentateuch. But she shot it. I applaud her, even though that was a sketch. I applaud the audacity, the boldness, I'm going to take away gender roles and I'm going to just do it. I say good for her.
Here's the thing.
But
Here's
who's
the thing.
discussing the book of Leviticus? Really? I mean, if I'm going to discuss any book of the Bible, like I'm going to say Genesis, Exodus. I mean, if I'm just going to stay Old Testament, I'm going to just, Leviticus ain't going to be that number one.
Okay, Tracy, let me just say this real quick. Let's not discuss nothing. If you want to talk, let's talk, and we can talk. That's fine. We ain't got to get us to the specific book that we're finna talk into. Let's just talk. We're going through some things, and I don't need you to. Okay, let's get into this book so we can talk about what your issues may be. Like, I don't need that. Me personally, you can take your hand off your dang gun because that's the last damn video of the night. I'm not even doing no more. I'm so doggone tired. It ain't even funny. I personally find it kind of sexy for the fact that a woman could take charge and show that they want you. That's just me personally. Like, I'm not that person who likes to deal with flirting, so to speak. Thing is, you could put your brow down. You don't even know what the hell somebody flirting at you.
Yeah, dude, you don't have no idea. You like, bro, I didn't even know.
What is your confusion look on your face? You didn't even know what a flirt was.
I raised my eyebrow to see where you were headed, and then I stifled a burp.
Thank you.
We're glad you stifled it.
My point.
And then y'all attacked me.
But I find it kind of refreshing to see. I like the idea of somebody who's going out there and not just us, but somebody who goes out there and knows what they want, and they go out there and know what they want. And hey, it may work, it may not.
Yeah, it may work, may not.
Good night, Mama Heart. And I'm finna get on up out of here
Yeah,
anyway, because
Hey, I want to say my thing.
nope, we'll do it tomorrow.
First of all, I love Whitney and her sketches, and she's the type of girl that I always dated coming up anyway. So I love that goofiness. And then just let me know you're interested, and then I'll take it from there. So she's perfect. I love that. That's fun. That's cute. It's a good story. And Leviticus, I had to look it up. It's the third book of the Bible. It's also part of the Torah, and it's part of the books of Moses. So it's like foundational teaching of the original religion and faith. So you could have that conversation. She might have been checking this dude for a minute because they go to the same church, and this is when she finally, so the book of Leviticus could have been part of what they were talking.
Alan, tell everybody where they can find you.
I don't even know anymore.
Aurelius, that
Sure.
is right there underneath me right now.
Yeah.
Tracy.
I want to thank everybody that watched my Tuesday show. As everybody knows, I'm trying out a new format, and I got some really good positive feedback. I thought the comedian that we had on was really funny. I enjoyed his comedy, and we're going to keep following that the whole month of February, and then March we'll do another. So thank you all. Keep supporting my videos. I'm at 167. I'm at 167, which means I'm 33 away from 200. I'm getting there. So Tracy Media LLC, TracyMediaLLC.com, where you can watch all my videos. But thank you for supporting me on the new format. And go 49ers tomorrow. We get this thing done.
Liz?
I hope both teams lose and all the starters get the bubble guts, and then we have to watch a game that's played by all backup players. But may the best team win. All the sports fans out there, hope you have a good time and enjoy it. And guys out there with weak mentalities, keep your hands off your woman and your children, okay? It's just a game. It's just a game. Congratulations, Tracy, on the growth. And yep, your guest was pretty cool. I enjoyed him. And yeah. There you go.
Okay, you can find this at OUC.
No, you can't find me at OUC. Don't try to look up that way. You have to do our United Core to find me. But don't worry about me. I already had my commercial for today. Y'all just make sure you support Anna with her tremendous work that she's doing, keeping the word out there and helping people be very aware. We're about to move into spring season. We're going to be outside more. Your pets are going to be outside more. You need to make sure you are protected and aware. And then check out Tracy. She's doing her work out there, broadening her scope, touching the audience in different ways, all appropriate. And just make sure you're giving her support. And Marlon, thank you for all the work you do for all of us.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, non-conforming individuals, and of course,
I'm assuming you're LGBTQ.
I appreciate Anna, I appreciate Tracy, I appreciate Theas, and until next time, we will see you when we see you. Peace.
Go Niners, we gonna do this. We got it.
Oh, just in case anybody was asking, yeah, I am going for Kansas City.
Yeah, you would. But go Niners, we gonna get it.